From the shores of the Genesee River to the quiet shores of the Finger Lakes region, from Canton to Schenectady, it has all led to this moment. The 2026 Liberty League Rowing Championships on the IC Drone Squadron YouTube channel. I'm Travis Conway, joined with 40-year coaching veteran Dan Robinson. And Dan, what a way to kick off the spring sports championship seasons in the Liberty League.
Yeah, nice weather, perfect for it. The rowers are all fired up because they get to go out and the water's pretty flat. Wind might pick up a little bit later, but sun shines out, and yeah, great day to row.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're now going to introduce you to the third member of our commentating crew, our shoreline reporter, Andrew Roberts. Andrew.
Thank you so much, guys. As the calendar turns to May, the stakes are higher than ever. The Liberty League Championships here at Fish Creek in Saratoga Springs. And the last time a lot of these teams were here, the conditions a little bit rough, but as Dan mentioned, very nice day out, sunny weather, not much wind, flat waters. So a lot of these teams looking to improve on their times from last time. And for those of you who were watching on April 4th when we were at the Cayuga Inlet, this is a much wider course. Can have up to 6 boats at a time on this course, so gonna have some real exciting races ahead. Some teams to watch for: Skidmore on their own home waters, and William Smith looking to break up Ithaca's 7 straight Liberty League titles. They've had a great season and they are fired up this morning. They were warming up with the Cotton Eye Joe over by the boathouse and they are ready to go. So guys, some exciting races ahead. We'll send it right back to the booth.
Thank you, Andrew. Now, he mentions this is a much wider course. We're here in Fish Creek on Saratoga Lake. Thank you, Union College, the host institution. It switches between Skidmore and Union. The first race will be the women's varsity 8 heat 1 and heat 2. Heat 1 being first St. John Fisher in lane 1, Skidmore lane 2, William Smith in lane 3, and RIT in lane 4. We'll get to them in a second. First, I do want to look at the men's championship. Now, the winner of the men's Liberty League Championship gets an auto bid to the IRA Championships in Golden Lake, California, late May. So they will race, as of right now, schedule says at 10. RIT, Skidmore, Ithaca College, Union, and St. Lawrence. Is there anything you expect from that men's race?
Well, the key races for the day are the varsity races, and it is a selection regatta, and that's what gets everybody excited about the Liberty League. If the varsity boat that wins the Liberty League race, both men and women, will get basically a postseason national championship opportunity at the National Championship Regatta. The men, significantly, their championship this year is in Sacramento. And that's a big trip. Ithaca College men's rowing has never gone across the country, and if they had a chance to win, they would go across the country. And that might be the same for all the other teams in this lineup. So, I think that's the key anticipation point for this regatta. Those 2 varsity races, getting invitations, women to the NCAA, men to the IRA, and it's something that that those guys are excited about, those people in those boats. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, looking with the winner of this men's championship going to Sacramento, this is the chance to get something interesting. Ithaca's won the last 2. Before that, you'd have to go to St. Lawrence back in 21-22. Before that, it's all Hobart except for the original Liberty League Championship where RPI won it. So a chance. Every other school not named Ithaca College or St. Lawrence are looking for their first ever Liberty League title. And again, winner goes to Sacramento, so that's all the way across the country. Now looking at the women's, with the women's varsity 8 heat 1 coming first, you got 8 schools to watch out for: St. John Fisher, Skidmore College, William Smith College, Rochester Institute of Technology, St. Lawrence, Ithaca, Rochester, and Union College. Anything you really want to point out about the women's teams going into this?
Yeah, well, certainly William Smith's going to be the favorite, and they've been gearing up for it. Last year, William Smith gained speed, and they lined up alongside Ithaca, I think 4 times in the racing last spring, and every single time William Smith would have a lead at 500 meters, and some of those times at almost a length lead. Every single time Ithaca could wear them out and cross the finish line first. And great competition, but you just knew it in the back of your minds that this streak's not going to last forever for Ithaca. They're trying to defend 7 years in a row, but William Smith has been the better crew this spring. They've gone head-to-head. William Smith has won by good margins, so they're the strong favorite, and it'd be a lot of fun. Ithaca obviously now is chasing them. William Smith already has put the target on themselves with their great wins in Ithaca and their good placing at the state championship a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, you mentioned William Smith being ahead of Ithaca right now. Ithaca actually sitting 13th in the Collegiate Rowing Coaches Association rankings going into this race, behind both Rochester at number 12 and William Smith at number 8. Skidmore also on that list at number 14. And you mentioned Ithaca and William Smith know each other very well. Back on March 29th, William Smith's 1V took down Ithaca's, or beat them, 6:50 William Smith's time and 7:04 for Ithaca. And then they ran into each other. They ran into each other multiple times throughout the season. A lot of these teams have run into each other multiple times. Also on March 29th, as we get the schedules coming up right now, the first race will be Heat 1 in the women's varsity 8s, and then Heat 2, and then 9:30, there's 2Vs, the 3Vs at 9:45, and then the men's varsity 8s at 10. And then at 11 and 11:15 will be the women's petite final and the women's final for the varsity 8s.
Yeah, we're going to point out that the only event today that has heats is the women's varsity 8, because the championship course really comfortably only sits 6 lanes. Now they're having a 7th lane for the women's 2v8 race, but generally it's 6-lane course, 8 entries, so they'll have 2 heats of 4. Top 3 in those heats will go on to the grand final. The trailers in those 2 heats will have a petite final. So the first race we see will be a good preview of these women's varsity 8s, but the big race won't be until 11:15 when they match up for the one that counts and one that will matter to the invitation for the NCAA. So they're racing for an NCAA championship bid. Ithaca has made the last 7 trips. When I'm talking about William Smith, I do not want to discount. RIT's got their best boat in several years. U of R and Skidmore both beat Ithaca at New York State's 2 weeks ago. So now the whole grouping is up for grabs, so to speak. They're all chasing William Smith, but there is when you got a group chasing, somebody could push out of that group and make some noise. So the racing should be interesting, and we'll get a little bit of a preview in these heats, whether the team's going all out. Generally, the top crews will row comfortably to make sure they got some energy and juice saved up for that final later today.
Yeah, and looking at Skidmore's roster for the women's varsity, they'll be in lane 2. We have Coxswain and Cam High. Camilla Johnson, who is someone that the Skidmore coaches told us to watch out. Both Camilla Johnson and Delaney Miller, who are CRCA preseason watch list members. Ollie Bronson, Nora Jansky, Madison Lofmark, Grady Vermeil, Ava Holfhoff, and Charlotte Taylor. Pretty interesting, pretty exciting boat. This team has been working hard. The coach has mentioned that they've been working really with the technical aspect, trying to get the catch and the catch and clean releases. So that's really the most important thing. And they have 4 seniors in this boat. Again, both Camilla Johnson and Delaney Miller, also preseason athlete watch list for CRCA.
Skidmore has really improved the last several years. They've placed top 3 in this race now, I think 2 or 3 years in a row. The coach at Skidmore, Manny Valentin, was a 4-year rower at Ithaca College, and so he's done a good job with the Skidmore crews. The men are contenders as well, so done a nice job getting Skidmore improving these last couple of years.
And St. John Fisher, who will be in lane 1, mentioned the row on the Genesee River with both U of R and RIT. St. John Fisher's a young team. They have 5 freshmen, and they've only had 4 weeks on the water. As we have RIT's roster coming up for the women's varsity Heat 1. Claire Schwenk, the Cox, Jessica Hall, Maddie Bronson, Meg Prevost, Claire O'Farrell, Anna DeJohn, Sarah Polek, Clara LaChance, and Ellen Shepard. And when you see how wet how wet of a spring it's been in Rochester, a lot of flooding, it really has kind of inhibited these teams' opportunities to get out on the water. But they got a lot of seniors on this RIT roster, and they are excited and hoping that all the work they've put in pays off.
Yeah, it's been a rough spring in Rochester. The Genesee River has been flooded, and both the RIT and the St. John Fisher coaches have commented about lack of water time. Now, I love this overhead shot. The drone shots are great. And I'm a little mystified that my watch is saying it's 9 o'clock and time to be ready to go. And William Smith just took a practice start, and their boat just went sailing about 200 yards away from the stake boats. And I'm not sure the other 3 boats are in the stake boats getting ready to start. That is really unusual. And it will be interesting to see if William Smith gets a warning from the officials, or I just don't know what they're thinking about.
Yeah. Looking at William Smith, though, the focus for them has been on what they control, their attitude and their effort, and they've improved every week. And they've really been the team to watch this year. Back on April 4th, William Smith and Rochester went head-to-head, where William Smith beat them with a time of 6 minutes 56 seconds. They also went against RIT, beat them with a time of 6:54 compared to 7:14. And then in the grand final of the New York State Championships, William Smith beat Rochester, Skidmore, Ithaca, RIT, and St. Lawrence. So,
well, this is what I've seen from William Smith. I mentioned last year those great races they had with Ithaca, and they always had great starting crew. And I think they're probably a pretty good starting crew still, but they're being a little bit more conservative, and they've really focused on the second half of the race. And in New York, they've been dominant in the second half of the race. And so they corrected that, where they were losing those races last year in the second half. This year they are the best crew, it seems like, in the second 1,000. So we'll look for that wherever the positioning is to see William Smith, what they do in the second half of the race. Now they're coming into the stake boats. The stake boat start stuff is the referees will usually tell you they want you getting into the stake boats 5 minutes before race time, locked in and ready to go 2 minutes before race time. And now William Smith did a pretty good job of getting quickly back into the stakes, and so it looks like we're going to have a pretty much on-time start.
Yeah, from left to right, lane 1 being on your left right now, lane 4 on your right will be St. John Fisher, Skidmore, William Smith, and Rochester Institute of Technology for getting started for this first heat.
So the starts the key to the start is just staying in the hunt. I don't think you ever really win a race off the start, but you can lose a race off the start. So the key is just to get your boat under motion and be with the pack. Stay in the hunt during the start.
Yeah. And for William Smith, some players to watch is Captain Linnea Darius, who won the Team MVP award and won the Win Seeley Award, which is the department award presented to an outstanding senior athlete at William Smith College. There's also Captain Aubrey Ryan and Junior Megan Bartholomew, who won the Hazel Nettleship Hardy Award, which is a prestigious honor by Hobart and William Smith College's athletics to an outstanding athlete in her middle years. So that's a sophomore or a junior. So a very, very talented William Smith team, and they've proved it all season long with how they've been. And again, number 8 in the College Rowing Coaches Association. So, I mean, 8.
Yeah, they're a strong team, and I think I hear that most of their starters from last year are back.
Yes.
And that's a good formula. Any sport, you get a lot of your experienced starters coming back for another year, for whether it's junior, senior, whatever. That's going to show some improvement. So that's what we're looking for. That looks like they're getting ready to start.
Yeah, starting here, start time momentarily, but you get to see everybody here in Saratoga Springs, Saratoga Lake, New York. All these schools, their supporters have come out to support them. And it's a great celebration of what this season has been, as we're getting to the end of the school year, end of the spring sports seasons. A lot of sports are opening up their Liberty League championships, rowing obviously being the first one, men's lacrosse, men's and women's tennis, men's and women's track and field, women's golf, and baseball, all also having their first games of their postseasons today. But rowing's going to be the first one with this first race, which will start momentarily. And if there's any other team you expect to make it out of this heat between St. John Fisher, Skidmore, and RIT, because you've said William Smith is the favorite, who would you say?
Oh, well, it's Skidmore. And RIT has a better team they've had, but we talked about the water difficulties with the Genesee River in Rochester. So, but they have as good a teams they've had the last 3 or 4 years. Skidmore, though, would be the favorite for second place. Yeah, and if you looked at the results, you'd say William Smith the favorite to win, Skidmore for second, RIT third, and Fisher the youngest and least experienced team out there, that probably in fourth. But That's what they don't do the races on paper. Now
Yeah.
there's got to be some little wins at the start that are pushing the boats. They're having a little bit problem getting pointed there. Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen a lot of starts, don't worry. The referee's not going to say go now, because then you'd certainly have a collision. But they're getting pointed. William Smith getting lined up. Good quick start. As soon as they get pointed, you might see a quick command to go. Let's see.
And Skidmore's best time in a head-to-head so far was against RIT, who's also in this heat, back on April 11th at the time of 6 minutes and 58 seconds. Obviously, again, different courses, different races, different weather conditions.
Yeah.
So that really doesn't matter, but you know these teams have seen each other, so they know what to expect.
Yep.
And that's one of the most interesting parts of being in a conference and being in a region where you have so many other teams that you get to see over and over and over again. Ithaca and William Smith have seen each other over and over and over again. Skidmore and Union, they share a course.
Sure.
So they know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And this is important for all of them.
So yeah, you'd say after the day is done, we'll see if there's any surprises, and there may not be. The favored teams we may know are going to move on. So they've done a lot of racing. There's a start.
And they're off to the races. William Smith,
A
a little
bit,
ahead,
yeah,
off with a speedy start.
Yeah, they definitely have that jump, and that was even going ahead to steer a little bit, because they got pulled over towards their port side to the left. Now they're straightened out, and they clearly have a start edge.
Skidmore and William Smith head-to-head at the start. RIT in that far right lane, and then St. John Fisher in the left lane.
They're still in their high sequence. They'll settle down after about 10 strokes, but yeah, this is a dominant, what you'd call a dominant start. That much of a margin after the start. I said earlier, you're probably not going to win many races off the start, but you win a race off the start if you're just a better crew all the way around. If
Absolutely.
they continue to move, then that's, it may not be just a start, but they're just a better crew. That is a significant margin very early in the race. Now keep in mind, we said earlier, this is a heat, and the top three who are in the picture now are going to advance to the grand final. So this is almost like a practice run.
Yeah.
The teams are going to kind of feel themselves out, but William Smith's making a statement. They're just clearly quicker off the first 500 meters. That is a significant lead at this stage, and I don't think we're going to have a very and RIT is staying with Skidmore to some extent, but those two teams are just going to coast and wait for the final. They're not going to use up too much of their energy.
Yeah, right now you are firmly in second and third place. You don't want to use your energy. William Smith, though, they are pedal to the floor,
smoking it
already. They came here. They have something to prove.
They're rowing at a higher cadence. They're rowing at a higher cadence than Skidmore right now. They had a game plan. Says, okay, row the first half of your race. And a lot of coaches do this. I know the Ithaca coach a long time in a heat. They'd say row the first 1,000 like it was the championship, and then if it's settled, you can relax a little bit. So there's a good shot, but they had some stoppage. Anyways, that's William Smith taking charge and sending a message to so the way the boats were seated, they get seated beforehand. The coaches put in a seating calibration. So William Smith is seated first. The second and third seeded teams, the University of Rochester and Ithaca, were in the other heat. Skidmore seated fourth, RIT seated fifth, and so that's kind of playing out. Skidmore did finish ahead of Ithaca at the States 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
so that, you could have argued how come they weren't seated third. Doesn't really matter. They're going to get it. They're all going to meet up in that grand final, so the seeding isn't that significant.
And there's like a full boat. You can probably fit almost two boats now in between William Smith and Skidmore. That is just how much William Smith is crushing it as RIT now kind of leaves our screen, and you can start to see the bottom of the Skidmore boat being cut off, and that's just showing how much speed this William Smith team has had and how much better they've gotten. As kind of feels like Skidmore's boat's drifting a little bit, but maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just the angle.
Now you can see their starboard oars, the ones on the right-hand side from our view, they just had to get out of those buoys. See, they're kind of almost close to those buoys. For a while, they might have hit in those buoys, so they had to steer a little bit. In a really tight race, steering makes a difference.
Yes.
I mean, and you can imagine if you keep a nice hard straight line, that's the shortest distance. But if you're serpentining a little bit, wiggling left and right, going from the left side of the lane to the right side of the lane, that costs you in a close race. That costs you the distance. You don't want to be doing that. So the coxswain plays a big role steering this boat. And the drones are great. They don't let the coxswains get away with anything. The drone shots, you can really see how the coxswains are steering the boat. It's a real skill. It's hard to do. Really
Binoculars looking out there all the way down. We are down by the finish line.
That's right.
So we actually, from where we're sitting, can see the finish line from here, and we'll see William Smith momentarily with that speed.
For spectators, if you're watching on TV, you made the right choice. The views are much better. This course, Saratoga, is famous. If you're here in person, there aren't that many places where you can really see the race. The boats are a long way away. There's no bike path like they have in Ithaca or in some other places. So you're stuck and you're waiting for them to come towards you. Not a great spectator course.
I have to imagine all those people on their phones out there are definitely watching the stream right now. So.
Yeah, they hope they have their picnic baskets because otherwise there's a lot of dead view.
Yeah.
Anyways, great opening row by William Smith showing that they're the dominant crew. They got 3 lengths of open water.
Just all alone out there.
Yeah, they will win this race by at least 15 seconds is going to be my guess. But then again, the second half, they will shift it down. There's a great shot.
You can just see how much distance they've gotten.
Yep, no
with
doubt about
Skidmore, William Smith on the front, Skidmore will be to their right now, and then RIT to their left and way in the back, St. John Fisher. And that is just an unbelievable amount of distance. And as you mentioned, that start makes a difference. And they had probably a perfect start, honestly.
Yeah, they nailed it. They were terrific starting all last year in multiple races, and this one is they're the favorites. These athletes really look forward to these championship races with the 6 boats across. During the regular season with various places that the races might be 2 or 3 boats. 6 boats across is really exciting, and one of the things that makes it exciting is whether you're fighting for first or you're back of the pack, you're usually alongside somebody.
Yeah.
Well, not this race. So this is still a kind of a mail-it-in regular season race. Hopefully 6 boats across for the grand final, we'll see a little bit more resistance.
As William Smith is getting closer and closer to securing their spot in the grand final. And just utter domination by the Herons.
Yep. So we're seeing the time clock over in the lower left-hand corner. Can't tell I'm not familiar enough with this lake to know what this wind is doing to the conditions. We'll see from the very first race. William Smith's a fast crew. See what the kind of times are producing. Good women's crews are going to break 7 minutes. I think there's a little wind pushing against it. I don't think it's going to be ideal for super fast times. In fact, we're hitting the 7-minute mark now.
As they're about to cross the finish line, we can see them now from our boathouse view momentarily and just.
Yeah, so you got a little bit of wind pushing down the course. You won't have super fast times. The 7:12 is, very respectable. What times are more, Travis, are just more fun for you and I to talk about, for coaches to spill around. You see enough races and you say over time what's the fastest race they had, and the conditions are going to tell you about those times. If everything's neutral and everything's flat, a Division III champion should be about 6:40, and it's just the conditions aren't quite fast enough for those kinds of times. So. And
RIT now crossing the finish line around 7:45, 7:46.
Yeah, we'll have and Fisher will be rounding it out.
Yes, as we getting started soon. Heat 2 for the women's varsity A's. Lane 1 will be St. Lawrence. Lane 2 Ithaca College. Lane 3 Rochester, and Lane 4 Union. And again, these teams very familiar. Very, 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 very close in terms of how much they know each other. And looking at the Ithaca women's, they they've had a lot of work to do. The coach says after many years of being the front runner, this team had a lot of work to do this year to figure out how to keep their heads while racing as underdogs. And as you mentioned, they've not normally been underdogs. They've 7 consecutive Liberty League champions, and they only have 2 returning rowers from their 1V last year, Kyle Linke and Sam Gallagher. So very different.
Yeah, and that's a big hole to fill right away. Even as they had success last year, they won the Liberty League and went to the NCAAs, but you knew that like 7 of the 9 athletes in the boat, Coxon included, were going to be gone, and you had a lot of holes to replace. They've had some great races. They had a terrific race with the University of Rochester twice this year, and they've split. On Ithaca's home course, Ithaca had to come from behind, had a very close competition with them. And then at the States 2 weeks ago, in the petite final, it was a pack, and U of R won the pack, and Ithaca was 4th, with Skidmore getting into 3rd in that spot. So they've split 1 and 1. They're the 2 and 3 seed. So you would guess at this heat, those 2 crews would be closer than what we saw.
It's gonna be a close one.
Oh, and there we have a start.
After the race, right now we're only seeing 3 boats.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a 4th boat, and
hard to tell. I'm going to assume that is St. Lawrence on your left. It's going to be Ithaca in the 2nd lane, and then lane 3 Rochester. So Union.
Yeah, and that is Ithaca in the middle. You
can tell by the oars and by the yellow. Kind of the yellow you can kind of see in the yellow caps.
Yep, the yellow caps, the signature yellow caps of the Ithaca rowers, and the white deck, the boat. So you have St. Lawrence on the left and University of Rochester on the right, and no boat from Union College, and that is very interesting. If we get word from that, we'll let you know. But and this is a close race, and we would expect that because these 2 teams have had already 2 close races. They've each won 1.
So these 3 teams will automatically go into the finals. Union did not make it up to the start line, it seems. So Ithaca and Rochester neck and neck to start.
Yeah, it's a good close race. Ithaca might be edging out a little bit. I'm trying to determine who's got the stronger cadence, the higher cadence. It looks pretty much stroke for stroke. Catch, 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 catch. So Rochester and U of R, at least in the first part of the race, are going at full battle mode. And you'd expect that. One wouldn't just say, oh, we're going to race later and lay down. We'll see how much this pushes them out. And it's interesting because they get to the last 500, nobody in either boat wants to lose the race. Yeah. They're going to be pushing, and that's going to, William Smith had an easy time with it this morning. If they're going to have to try to knock off William Smith this afternoon, it's always always an adventure. If I'm one of the athletes in the boat, I get into this race, I'm going to get sucked in. I'm going to be pulling as hard as I can to cross the line first.
Yeah, so Rochester's bow kind of lined up around the fifth seat on Ithaca's boat, and Ithaca maintaining that lead, almost growing it stroke for stroke, and St. Lawrence falling behind in lane 1.
Yeah, those 2 teams are getting sucked in each other. They're going at it because you can look at the stroke rates, and they've come a little. It looks like Ithaca's rowing a little higher.
Yeah, and these teams, as you mentioned, ran into each other back on April 4th on the Ithaca College Lime Stream in the Cayuga Lake, where Ithaca beat them by around 3 seconds, and then you see them again just a couple days ago on April 18th, and Rochester finished ahead of the state championships. So 1-1 split, and you can see these teams are just so evenly matched. As Rochester's starting to catch up, it looks like a little here.
Yeah, and the Rochester's the one with the higher stroke rate. They've definitely made a move in an effort to catch up, and they've reduced that margin. It's a great 2-boat race. That is what you'd expect it to be from the previous competitions. Ithaca's pushing. These drone shots are just great. U of R is closing on the lead. Ithaca is led throughout, but U of R is making the push. Just all part of the strategy. What is the coxswain telling them at this point? Are they really trying to win this race? Long term, it doesn't really matter. It matters how they place in the final for the final result of today's regatta. So it's just all in the individuals. They just might decide, let's win this thing. Now Ithaca is adding a little bit to the lead again. They've moved out a seat or 2. You can just see them working out slightly, but that U of R could answer right back. Let's see what happens. can't really, Travis, help me out here. I can't really tell where they are in the course. You look at the clock, and that helps us, 4:12. So they still haven't. They got more than 500 meters to go in this race. They haven't gotten into the sprint line to see how far they are.
But it's still just neck and neck all the way through.
They got to be at past the 5-minute mark for sure before they get 500 to go. Yeah, Rochester's not letting go of this one.
Rochester keeping it as close as possible, kind of about that bow lined up right around that front seat. So it's just really, really close. Looking at these rosters really quickly for Rochester, they're going to have their Cox, Munier, and then Allison, Leninger, Wiseman, Prevy, Sullivan, Tricomi, Seitzer, Seawright, and Fikowitz.
So Rochester's definitely rolling a little bit higher,
yes.
And again, they're making another push. They might have drawn even for all we know.
It's looking as close to even as you can get as you get closer and closer to this final sprint.
And Rochester's continuing, and they may have just taken the lead. This might be
it looks
their
like
first
Rochester
lead.
might have it's really close coming to this, as it looks like.
Still got those brighter buoys could be 500 meters to go. That would
Could
match
be
with
500,
the times.
yeah.
We might be talking 500 meters to go.
Ithaca's still slightly ahead.
Yep.
And this is as close as it gets. These teams fighting. And these teams just want to prove that they have the lead, and they're going neck and neck. And Dan, why would you in your final 500 in the race where you already know, hey, all three of you are going to the finals, why would you want to use your energy?
It's all pride. You're right. They shouldn't. They should not be. But it's all pride, and it's also, listen, they may not keep up with William Smith in that race. So if Rochester can come from behind and win this, and it looks like they've taken the lead
right
that's
there.
just a big smile, a big relief. We won't know the impact until they race 2 hours from now.
And Rochester's starting to kind of pull ahead, it looks like.
Yeah, strategically, you would not want to be pushing all out. You don't want to empty the tank in a sprint, but these teams are going for the win. They just decided it's a boat race. They're alongside each other. They're rivals, longtime rivals, and every time Rochester can beat Ithaca, they got a feather in the cap because it's been years since they've beaten Ithaca. They beat them 2 weeks ago for the first time in years, and they got a shot to doing it again. They don't want to let it get away. Those teams are sprinting.
You're sprinting neck and neck. Ithaca trying to get that distance back. They're going almost bow to bow. Rochester with a slightly Ithaca starting to kick up the catch rate, and it's so close. Bow to bow. The Yellow Jackets in the lead.
And the Yellow Jackets looks like they're going to take it. They got 2 seats now, and you can see those markers, and they're ahead.
And it's so close. You can see them almost bow to bow. As this ankle kind of shows Ithaca might have pulled ahead. It might be the angle. It's really close, but the Yellow Jackets are going to cross that line first, right ahead of the Bombers. As the Yellow Jackets, 2 straight finishes ahead of Ithaca now.
Yeah, and you just said it. That's why they sprinted. It's hard for these athletes to say, okay, let's put it all on paper. We want to race comfortably, get ready for the grand final. That's the smart, strategic way to do it.
Yes.
But these are rivals. They get alongside each other, and they know they're underdogs this afternoon to William Smith. And, nobody wants to lose. Nobody wants to lose. And what are the coxswains calling it? You can imagine the scenario. The coxswain starts calling, slow down. We got this. We can lengthen out. And we saw they didn't do that. They sprinted. They went full sprint mode, tried to win. And hats off to Rochester winning a big race for them. So now we'll see who runs out of gas. If we see separation in those 2 boats this afternoon in the grand final, either one or the other, then you could think that the team that fell back, used up too much of their fuel in the first race.
Yeah. And coming up next after this race will be the women's 2nd, varsity 8th. So that's going to be a 7-boat race, and that's going to be an interesting one to watch because you mentioned it's a lot more fun, a lot more exciting when you have 6. So you have 7. It's going to be a tight 7. Because we're going to have a lane 0 here.
You should have several boat battles, across the field, 7 boats.
Yeah.
I think that 2v8 race is William Smith is a strong favorite in that one as well.
As we're getting the results in now for the first heat, William Smith with a 7:10 time, Skidmore and second with a 7:29, and RIT, who will also be going to the grand final with a 7:40 time of 7:42, and then St. John Fisher with a time of 8 minutes 53 seconds. finishing in fourth, they'll be in the petite final. With Union, I have to assume, considering Union did not.
Yeah, I don't think, well, in a normal championship, they would not allow Union to race.
Yeah.
Because it's a clear advantage for them in the petite to race with not having raced earlier, whereas Fisher did. So they might put Fisher just in that 7th lane 0 for the championship to give them the second race and let them match up against all the other crews if Union is in fact out of the regatta in their varsity 8. Now, if we can get a story on them at some point, we'll let you know. But right, you and I, Travis, we don't know anything why Union did not make the start of that last race.
Yeah. As we wait for the official results to come in from the second heat, women's second varsity, Union will be in lane 0, St. Lawrence in lane 1, Rochester in lane 2, William Smith in lane 3, Ithaca in lane 4, Skidmore lane 5, and RIT in lane 6. And that's going to be one exciting race for these two, for all of these schools. And it's been one fun. As we have them lined up right now, we have 6 boats. We are again missing
William Smith. They've gotten in the habit of doing a late practice start. Now they're in the middle lane. They should be right in the middle of this pack. There's no boat in sight, and I'm assuming they're just out of the camera picture up above.
Maybe, yes.
Because we saw that in the varsity race.
They got a little practice run.
They did a little practice start to get going, and that's interesting. If it's race time, and my watch is telling us they still have 2 minutes to race time, so like they should have gotten a false start assigned to them in that heat for going past race time. Of course, my watch is not official, and if it's race time now, it's interesting that 6 boats are in the stake boats, and there's one that
looks
isn't.
like they get like 45-ish seconds almost. So
I'm hoping that's all they're doing. I definitely would hate to see that something happened to William Smith, like something happened to Union in the last race. That they start this race without him, that would be a disaster.
So
this is a final now. So those are heats. Now these are the
Liberty
League finals. These do not impact selection in any way. If in the NCAA championship, if the winner is going to take their second varsity boat with them, 2 varsity 8s.
Yeah.
So, but it doesn't impact the selection for that team. So no matter
what, it's going to be the
the
first varsities for both women's and men's that will matter in terms of later races. Lane 0, Union on your left. There's William Smith pulling up in now. Lane 1, which is going to be kind of lane 2 for you guys, St. Lawrence, Rochester, then William Smith, the boat coming in now, Ithaca College, Skidmore College, and Rochester Institute of Technology. As William Smith lines up here, Ithaca's rosters, we have Sarah Sharibi as the cock, CJ Owen, Melanie Heim, ICTV Sports Director, Claire Edwards, Emily Murphy, Jasmina Valle, Lauren Huber, Kate March, and Maisie Sagas. And this team has been entertaining for all of us to watch. Sarah and Peyton, both rowers in the team last fall. Rochester Institute of Technology, Maddie Mesa, that's the cock. Julia Callahan, Erin Kaur, Emily Schwesen, Abby Desser, Sarah Markham, Emily Fitzgerald, Priya Musuku, and Ryan Schouten.
I'm sorry, we seem to have lost our on-the-water camera. In that first race, we saw a couple of quick shots. They were still shots from the side.
Yes.
And we didn't get any in the second race. The drone shots are great.
We
haven't had any water level from the side shots, so we apologize for that. You can't really examine the rowing and see how the people are pulling together and get the different angles that we were getting with those inlet shots in Ithaca a few weeks ago.
For Skidmore, Bree Sherko, Nicolette Kieran, Sophia Peterson, Harper Staten Tadaro, Amelia Inhofe, Ava Hammond, Baylin Geis, Charlotte Visiger, and Lila Glanville. As the women's 2V is about to get underway. And for Skidmore, this crew has been working on the complete piece, according to the coach. So they've seen great starts, great sprints, sound and aggressive on the drive. And they put it all together during the New York State Championships a couple of days ago, where they took down RIT, who they had lost to a week earlier, at Hamilton. So they're looking to do something like that, kind of have a complete race again.
The seeding, you can see lanes 0 through 6, those 7 boats there. The seeding will be from the middle out. So William Smith is seated first to the boat right in the middle. And the second and third seeds would be the boats on either side, U of R and IC. And the fourth and fifth seeds would be the boats in lanes near the edge. The ones on the edge would be the lowest seated boats. So as it gets going, if it goes by seating, then they'll form a nice arrowhead formation. If that's usually doesn't work out that neatly, but it can. And we'll see if they've got them seated right. The coaches did a good job of seating them in position. Seeds don't always carry very well because if there's lineup changes or somebody gets hurt or something's going on, it could impact how the boat does.
We're getting some wind kind of picking up. You can feel it on the inside this boathouse we're in right now.
Yeah, we're getting a little breeze coming right through. The water looks great, though. I got to look out there, and I don't see any rippling of the water. I think it's just a breeze that'll slow times down a little bit. Yeah, wind really makes a difference on final time. So it's
Here we go, Bobs!
Yeah, Bob!
As you can hear the crowd
7
hyping up their
boat
team
starts.
out there.
Well, this 7 boat is as big a race you're going to get. There's
Absolutely.
some courses that are 8, very few. So very occasionally an 8-boat race or a 7-boat race is rare enough. 6 is the normal championship rate. But 6-boat races are just great. The athletes love it. They're surrounded. They hear all the noises of the oars clunking back and forth and the coxswains shouting their commands. And it's just a lot of intensity and excitement in the first 40 strokes. And if it's a close race, like some races are, then it's all the way down the course. You're just in a pack and trying to work your way out. And I think that is by far the most exciting thing for a rowing athlete to participate in is a pack race. And haven't really had that yet, but we had a terrific 2-boat race between Ithaca and University of Rochester just moments ago. The pack races are just a load of fun for these guys, and that's what they train for, so they can get in the pack and stay in the pack and maybe win the pack.
For William Smith, they're in the middle lane, that green boat, their roster. Cox, Mimi Greco, Liv Helms, Lily Lyfander, Ella Rhodes, Paige Barnhart, Ainsley Kimball, Nora Smith, Alanya Wyan, and Ollie Sainsbury. And for captain, the captain is Elena Wyan, and senior Mimi Greco, who is heading to medical school to be an ophthalmologist. So nice. A little fun fact for her. And Ella Rhodes is also a novice rower on that 2V boat. So just unbelievably talented all the way around. And one thing we talked about a lot in the last broadcast was really how well coached William Smith is, how amazing they've been. As we're going to get off to the races here.
There's a start. And U of R in that 3rd lane from the left had a little pointing problems. You can see they're trying to correct. Oh, we got to stop. We've got to stop in lane 2. That would be St. Lawrence. They should stop this race and bring it back. They should stop this race and bring it back. That is early enough. Wow, they're going to roll right away from it.
Going to keep going. And
I'm stunned. If in the first 150 meters, if a boat stops, they couldn't get out of the starting area. Yeah, there's the bell. I think that's a referee's bell. I don't think it's a spectator's bell at the finish line. Very interesting what's going to happen now.
They're still rowing full speed,
Yeah,
though.
they're still cranking. That could have been a spectator
Could have
bell.
been a spectator, as William Smith is starting to pull ahead from Rochester.
That's a disaster for St. Lawrence. That's awful, and they should have been allowed to re-race this. They seemed like, to me, they stopped soon enough. And Williams, you see that arrowhead with a slot missing. William Smith is moving out, and right now we have University of Rochester in 2nd and Ithaca in 3rd.
Union and Ithaca kind of bow to bow right now. Union on that far left lane.
Yep.
Union might have kind of from this angle looks like they might have kind of slightly overtaken the Bombers, but it is very close, as Union and Ithaca will get very chummy over this Saturday, racing here today, and then both men's and women's lacrosse going head to head battle in Schenectady, the women's battle, the 2 seed and the 3 seed, and then in Ithaca, men's lacrosse, 1 seed and the 4 seed. So these teams, these almost interdivisional rivals.
It's a Liberty League, all sports, so they got rivalries going. Look at
and no, the rest of them are stopping. They're all stopping, so it looks like they're going to reset. William Smith is
what on earth?
Still going.
It took forever. They raced for 2 minutes before they stopped the boats.
And here goes William Smith finally coming to a stop.
The referees were probably signaling them, but they were too far behind them, and they had to race up and catch up. They stopped the race. Been at this for a long time, and that's the first. That's about as far as I've ever seen a race go
before it was
pulled back. The breakage zone is only 150 meters, and so it's 15 strokes, and you're in the starting sequence. And if anything happens in that zone, they will bring the race back. And if anything happens past that zone, then it's tough luck for the team that had the problem. They won't bring it back. So they had to make that call early, and they rode for
about 2 minutes before everybody finally came to a stop.
2 minute mark. You get the 150 meters. It's 25 seconds. It's like.
And you have to wonder really what happened for St. Lawrence to cause them to stop. We're now going to send it down to our Shoreline reporter, Andrew Roberts. Andrew.
Thank you so much. I'm here with Jessica Hall of RIT after that first piece, the heat against William Smith. Now, a little bit behind William Smith in that first race, but looking to bring the energy you guys had into the next one. What adjustments are you guys looking to make?
Honestly, we're just looking to race as hard as possible, have as much fun as possible. We have a lot of seniors in our boat, so ultimate goal is to have the best last one, fast one ever.
Yeah, definitely. And what does that mean for the seniors in one of their last races, unless you guys are able to advance to NCAAs?
I think we've had a great season. We've had a lot of fun, and we love the thrill of going fast, and we're excited to feel it today. The conditions are great. Some of the best water we've had on this river in a while, so we're excited to just have fun. Yeah.
Yeah, what makes the conditions today extra special? I see the sun out, wind a little bit down, but anything else that's factoring in?
Yeah, definitely the sun. I mean, we practiced on the course yesterday, and it was a little choppy, a little windy, but right now it's been nearly glassy in terms of the water texture, and yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, we'll wrap with this. You guys were here 2 weeks ago for the New York State Championships. Rougher conditions then. How is today different from that race?
Oh, so much better. I mean, in the morning at New York State's, it was beautiful, kind of like this. But yeah, definitely got pretty tough. Looking at the weather, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to stay about this for the rest of the day. So hopefully not as windy and choppy as New York State's.
All right, we will send it back to the booth. Jessica, thank you so much, and good luck in your next race.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Jessica of RIT. Now, let's talk a little bit about you. We have some time now to kind of wait for that race to reset. Tell us about your career and some of the highlights that you had coaching for the Bombers. And also, you've mentioned to me earlier that 3 or 4 of the coaches here were rowers that you yourself coached.
Yeah, the Skidmore coach, St. John Fisher coach, the St. Lawrence men's coach were all participants of the men's crew at Ithaca College. So it's kind of fun to see those guys again and see them running races. The highlights are just all the people you get to meet that hang out with the ex-rowers all the time, and I even got some vacation plans coming up this summer with meeting with ex-rowers. So that's certainly the high point. Most coaches would tell you that all the same. So I think that's those are the highlights. Just the relationships you develop.
Yeah. And going back to the start of that last race, if you are that St. Lawrence Cox, and I don't really know if the coaches are able to get close enough to say anything, what do you kind of hoping they're telling their boat to kind of get set for that restart?
Well, that's a thing in rowing. It's funny, I was noticing with Andrew talking to that RIT rower about weather, and there's a lot of factors in racing that aren't really factors in other sports. And equipment and weather are 2 of them. And we don't really know what happened with St. Lawrence. But there's a lot of moving parts in the boat, equipment, and things go wrong. Things break, things get stuck, things don't operate the way they're supposed to, that something it comes loose and falls apart. The other thing, it could be just that a rower made a mistake and there was a crab, something that stopped the boat. If it's an equipment thing, the referee's going to go up to the St. Lawrence boat, check it out. If it's really an equipment thing, broken equipment, they will fix it. If it's fixable, then they'll send them right back to the start. If it's not, they'll bring them back to the docks and then postpone the race an hour and a half. And if it's a real equipment, they won't. There's a time difference.
Yes, and you can see how close that second heat was between Rochester and Ithaca. That was just neck and neck all the way through, and Rochester pulled ahead at the very end, that final sprint. It's St. Lawrence with a 7:49 time right there. And Union, we have to wonder what happened as to why they weren't able to make it.
Hopefully get that story a little bit later.
But that was a great race all the way through.
So getting back to the St. Lawrence, the 2V, and what happened to them, if it's equipment, they will fix it and get them back and then start the race from scratch, nothing, no impact. If it's a rowing mistake and they stop their boat because someone crabbed, they lost control of their oar, or a slide their seat jumped off the track that they roll back and forth on, something that is not really a broken equipment thing, then they'll assess St. Lawrence a false start. They'll say, okay, that's a warning. We'll go back to the starting line, but if anything happens again, then you're out of the race. It can't happen twice. So because you stopped your boat and didn't be in the starting zone, that first 150 meters, and you didn't leave that starting zone, then we'll let you race again, but we'll give you a warning if it's a problem because it was a boating mistake. And if it was actual equipment, then there's no warning, and they just start the race over again. So you can see the boats
starting to reset.
They had to roll all the way back. Now they're turning around. They're going to come back to the stake boats, and you already got a couple of boats there. Now there's William Smith is in their stake boat already, so they're
much faster than last time.
That's right. So there's the equipment, and then what Andrew was talking about with the weather, just these outside forces that impact rowing that kind of make it a little squirrely, So, but they're factors. They're factors. You could have a boat that just with a change of wind, that we saw that U of R and Ithaca rode a 7:21, and they can come back in a change of wind. They'd row a 7:50, and then the next time they'd row a 6:55 because weather is such a factor to these boat races. And so they did skip. All right, This doesn't surprise me. They just changed the order since it's going to take a while to get those 7 boats at the start.
So, we're going to go to the 3Vs right now.
Yep. The 3Vs are ready to go, and they let them race. And this is Ithaca and William Smith.
Yes, Ithaca and William Smith. Ithaca in lane 2, William Smith in lane 3. And those already both amazing teams, well-coached teams, national championship caliber teams, as both their coaches have called them, all the way through. And you can see right now, even the 3Vs, they are neck and neck, bow to bow, stern to stern to get this one started. They've raced each other several times. Not a lot of teams have the depth to go to a 3V. These two teams do, and it helps them overall. William Smith has had the upper hand this year, and this is a close race. So we'll see. Hopefully that both crews can stay locked in with each other and make it an exciting finish. It looks like Ithaca's rowing at a higher cadence. They've tried to steal the race early. They can't get away from William Smith, so it's very close. Yeah.
The bright white boat is Ithaca. The darker colored boat to the right is William Smith. Oh, great! It's a great battle right here. And this is a race that these guys will remember. They'll take this race. It's only 2 boats, but they'll remember this. Next week is the big regional championship in Worcester, and pretty much I think all the Liberty League crews, but maybe not all of them, will go to that race, and they'll see all the New England schools, the New England Division III schools racing there.
And
that's
other
right.
Conferences.
And the New England Women's Conference. And so that'll be a big championship. And that's the last chance to get an NCAA selection. If you don't get the automatic by winning the Liberty League, then you got to go there and perform so well that you get chosen as an at-large crew.
Yeah.
But the New England crews have the upper hand.
And William Smith has started to take
Starting
the
to
lead
move.
and pull ahead a little bit here as we get to about the 2-minute mark. These teams ran into each other back on April 4th at the Ithaca Rowing Invite, and William Smith had a 14-second difference. And again, different course, different weather conditions.
Right.
It was very, very nice from what I could see and what I was kind of feeling weather-wise on April 4th. Maybe a little windier, but it might be a little windier here. Again, we're inside, so we don't really know as well.
Yep.
But William Smith starting to pull ahead, and that kind of
they're pulling ahead.
Higher cadence, maybe a little slower at the start, and then said, hey, we know this team. We know how they race. Maybe we can go a little faster, right?
Yep. Ithaca's still a slightly higher cadence, but they're having trouble now keeping up. That William Smith has started to apply themselves. These boats often have a bunch of freshmen in them. They might have some beginners, the walk-on athletes that started rowing this school year and never rowed before. So those are the novices. The novices used to be a bigger population in collegiate rowing, and they had a novice event for novices only. You had to be a first-year oarsman or oarswoman to participate. But those have, in the last 5 to 10 years, have filtered away. The varsity programs now are recruiting, and people aren't qualified for novices. So there'll be novices sprinkled in these boats, and you can this is William Smith now taking charge here in this second 500.
And they should be starting to get bow to stern now. William Smith pulling ahead. Looking at William Smith's little roster right here, the cock's going to be Skylar Strong with Kate Oberg, Marie Voss, Izzy Ramirez, who is the team's Rookie of the Year, Annika Stacia, Danny Krenzer, Alina Jones, Lily Keefe, and Maddie Fuller in that one seat. And then for the Bombers, you're going to have
there's open water. They're getting open water.
Yeah.
They're moving out. So they've pretty much crossed the halfway mark. I'm not sure that would be that they're in the third quarter. And talked about William Smith. That obviously was a directive after last year that they were going to train to be finishers. And they're finishing in this race. We didn't see the other races yet, but they've done a great job here. That it was even for 500 meters, but you got to have the stamina to go to full 2,000, and William Smith is putting on space.
Yeah, and for the Bombers, it's going to be Cox, Sarah Sharabi, Ava Connor, Stella Kartsanis, Emily Murthy, Naomi Bozensky, Catherine Cernick, Emmy Chen, Maya Varaka, and Brandy Landis. As this is William Smith has now taken full control of this race.
Yep. And it's an interesting race to watch because we saw two crews that looked like they were going the same speed for 500-600 meters. But, stamina and being able to hold on to your horsepower for 7 or 8 minutes, not just a minute and a half, is significant. And William Smith is clearly the fitter and stronger crew. And that's what you would say in a race like this, that horsepower is winning this race. If it were technique, the other team wouldn't be keeping up in that first half. So the techniques on both teams are both excellently coached.
William Smith is fully pulled ahead now. You can't see Ithaca in this drone shot,
That's
and that just shows you how well coached all the way through this team is. And
they're fit and strong, and Ithaca is at a level that they're a little bit behind these guys.
Yeah,
horsepower sport. There's a technical component, but it's horsepower. And the first 500 show they both have technical components to get the boats off the line and go along pretty well, but they don't have the fuel that William Smith's putting out there.
As the Herons is all alone, and after this race we'll have the women's 2V. Or as we most likely we're all already kind of down there.
I was going to comment about this, that these are the only two teams in the Liberty League that have a third boat.
Yes.
The defending national Division III champion, two-time defending champ, Tufts University, they go 6 boats deep.
Yes.
6. And their 5th and 4th boats are still very fast, and that fuels all this fitness that you're seeing from the William Smith boat. That when you have these kinds of numbers, and everybody's pushing each other in the same boathouse, and every day in practice they're going alongside each other, cranking it out.
As both teams are starting to pass our boathouse here, coming to the final stretch. But the Herons all Herons all day.
Yep. And they're stronger, and that Ithaca's got to get back to the drawing board for next year if they're going to crack into that. They got to be stronger and fitter.
Yeah, the Herons really have a long legacy of at their school of being a great rowing school. Hobart D1 dominated the Liberty League while they're in Division III, went up to D1, and now William Smith looking to now kind of take that mantle that Ithaca was holding for a couple of years.
Yeah, Ithaca's won the last 7 overall Liberty League championships. William Smith has won 8.
As we're the women's 2V getting started, and William Smith creating a great start right there. That green boat right in the center. Rochester to their left, Ithaca to their right, and this is again showing you how you said they're coached to be finishers, but even at the start they are unbelievable. And St. Lawrence right now keeping up in that second lane, lane 1. If we're going to go by those numbers, Union on the far left, and then again Rochester, William Smith, Ithaca, and then that's going to be Skidmore, and then RIT maybe. So
RIT's a little bit out of the
there's
picture.
RIT.
Good pack right now, though.
They are all together, but William Smith pulling ahead. Rochester trying to keep up.
Yep. You called it. You got William Smith breaking out. U of R going with them. The other 5 boats in a pack.
Yeah.
And trying to establish. And this is going to, for these kids, this is a great race. Once you get into the middle of the boat, obviously the coxswain knows what's going on, but you reassess your targets and you say, okay, we're behind these leading crews, but we're not going to let these other boats pass us. So the battle for third is going to be intense right now. Maybe it'll be intense battle for first, but right now William Smith is doing what they've done. We've seen all morning. They're the best boat out here. And see what happens.
That school in Geneva. Geneva just also itself a very beautiful town up off of the northern end of Seneca Lake, but they have been amazing, not even in just rowing. Hope and William Smith colleges in the Liberty League are always teams to watch. You can never count them out.
This is another case that University of Rochester has a higher cadence. They're overstroking William Smith. They're pouring everything out.
And they're bad astern.
And they're falling back.
Yeah.
So with a slightly lower cadence, William Smith taking a few less strokes. William Smith is still pulling away, still able to gain ground. They've got a boat link now. They've just taken open water. Open water is almost a signal that the race is over. It's not technically over. There have been comebacks from open water down, but it is really rare. So everybody gets excited about open water.
Ithaca getting close to those buoys over there. And Ithaca starting to pull ahead from the rest of the pack. You might be St. Lawrence kind of keeping up with them with their bow at Ithaca's stern. But this is really just a two-headed race between the Herons and the Yellow Jacket, William Smith and Rochester. As you're going to see them all right there, kind of almost on the podium. It looks like.
Yeah, it's the
in order of seating, basically.
Yep, arrowhead formation. That's what you'd see, and they're playing out. We got Ithaca's kind of gotten themselves semi-comfortably into third. A battle for fourth. You'd have to call it between Skidmore on the left-hand side, and then St. Lawrence on the right-hand side, and then you got a battle for sixth between the boats on the end.
Union and
RIT. So the coxswains, it's kind of their job is they're looking across the river and they'll say, okay, if you're in the Union boat, we want to beat RIT, and they're going to call seats and try to work their race against that RIT boat. And hopefully in the meantime, that'll push them up further in the crowd. And it's stretching out that way. This is William Smith, U of R, Ithaca, and then dead even for fifth and dead even for, am I getting that right? Fourth. Dead even for fourth. Dead even battling for sixth.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying 7-boat races are just a lot of fun, and usually there's a pack. And but William Smith taking charge. This has so far been their day. We're going to see
they've fully pulled ahead from the Yellow Jackets at this point.
Yep.
As the Bombers kind of, I imagine, partly want to try and catch up to Rochester, but are also probably just as comfortable staying in third. And it's just been
getting a little spread here. So it looks like U of R definitely has open water on Ithaca for second place.
Yeah.
And Ithaca has a little bit of open water on St. Lawrence and Skidmore for third place. Skidmore and St. Lawrence, so and when they're farther apart in lanes too, for the rowers, they know they're there, but they can't tell exactly if they're behind or ahead. They're going to be racing hard right to the finish.
Yeah, and we're now going to send it down to our shoreline reporter, Andrew Roberts, who's standing right there. Andrew.
Thank you so much, guys. Women's races just about wrapping up, at least until the final for the 1V later. Men's 1V will be up next, and as you guys alluded to, Hobart had a stronghold on this Liberty League for a while, but now been wide open in the past few years. Ithaca and St. Lawrence with the last 3 Liberty League titles between them, but this year the Bombers alongside Skidmore, the front runners, have won most of the Liberty League events so far this year. Ithaca beat Skidmore head-to-head back on March 29th, but Skidmore has been working on starting stronger, as well as this is their home water, so this could be a close one today. Guys, back to you.
That arrowhead is getting sharper and pointier as William Smith extends his
Absolutely.
lead. And you can see the first, second, and third are pretty much decided. William Smith, anybody
that's all
watching
Heron.
this. But it'll be interesting for the folks watching their rowers at Skidmore and St. Lawrence and then Union and RIT. There's battles there for fourth place and for.
Yeah. And as we kind of get ready to start that men's varsity 8 to see who the champions is with.
This is a good shot. I'm sorry to interrupt because you can see the wind going against the
them. You can see the water direction, and you can see they have to go into that, and that is going to make a big difference. But as Andrew mentioned, back on March 29th, these two teams, Ithaca and Skidmore in the men's varsity, went head-to-head, and it was a 13-second difference. But again, that is in the Cayuga Inlet. Very different waters, very different temperatures. It was still cold and windy, I'm pretty sure, at that point in the year over the Finger Lakes region. And Skidmore since has been ahead of every other team. Ithaca's men's didn't go to New York State, if I remember correctly. So
that's right, they did not. In this race here, the St. Lawrence boat has established themselves by about half a boat length for fourth place. That was the boat that had the equipment problem or something may force them to stop that first race. So good for them that they had a chance to come re-row it and get a spot.
Get a chance, and they're fighting. They're fighting right now as William Smith
in the middle of the pack
comes to the end of this track, and they are going to take this one.
And their time is a little bit faster than that 7:21 we saw.
Yeah.
So they're the dominant crew today on the women's side so far.
As Rochester will come in second, and Ithaca, barring catastrophe, you can't see them right now, are going to be in third.
They're getting spread out.
As the men's varsity is going to get underway right now, from left to right, RIT, Skidmore, Ithaca College, Union, and St. Lawrence. And Ithaca in the middle, off to a strong start. Skidmore, though, keeping up. As Ithaca is now going to cross the finish line on the women's side, and then that's going to be.
We're not going to see that finish.
Looked like Skidmore actually caught
like,
up and got fourth over St. Lawrence.
Maybe I called that wrong earlier, but
it was close when we were talking about it, but it looked like it changed. Skidmore caught up, and the Bombers and Skidmore now lanes 2 and 3 going off in the men's varsity 8, and winner here secures their spot in the RIA championships.
That's right.
In Sacramento.
Get an invitation to, and they'll also, I believe, are taking 2 boats to Sacramento. They'll get that'll invite will carry to the second varsity 8. So this 5-boat race winner gets an invitation to Sacramento. I'm not sure all these crews have committed to going if they win. I mean, that's a big commitment.
It's a big commitment after the school year.
I know that Ithaca did commit because they've won the last 2 years, so I'm sure that's something they were shooting for. And you can now we got this is our first.
We got the boat cam back.
Yeah, we got the boat camera. That's good. We get a good chance
win.
of seeing those guys row and see how the rowing's going. And they're taking command of the race.
Ithaca's starting to pull ahead here. It looks like kind of that bow getting to that is that the 2 seed, if I'm correct.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, Zoe taught me well.
And now the coxswain is going to be looking at that bow ball, and he's going to make calls. And this is very motivating for the rowers in the boat. He looks over and says, okay, I got the bow ball. I'm level with the bow ball. Give me open water. Get me past them. And he'll count it down however he's going to say it.
Yeah.
Only he can say it the way the rowers will know. And this is a great shot.
And Ithaca shooting for their third consecutive Liberty League championship. They're ranked number 8 in the D3 V8 poll. Skidmore, though, also ranked sitting at 13. These teams very evenly matched, going bow to stern now as Ithaca's trying to pull ahead, get a little further, and you can feel the energy from both of these teams. They both want it so bad right now. It's just two amazing teams going head to head. And
the favorites, though, it's taking charge. They've only gone 2.5 minutes, and they've got their boat length lead. So the favorites are doing what they were supposed to do, and they're trying, like what William Smith did. They're trying to put an end to the race early in it, and that's a substantial lead. So Ithaca's won the first half of this race, and they should be approaching.
Now,
the one.
Yeah, let's not write off Union here. Look at them right there, keeping up. They are keeping up.
Union's going to try to push back.
They
on
might
Skidmore.
be able to steal second.
I don't know what their history is. That's the Ithaca boat, looking close onto the Ithaca boat.
I love that mohawk right there. I've been seeing it all day
Bryce
walking
Williston.
around.
Yeah, in the middle boat. He's the senior captain.
And they are running smooth. This is.
You got a red hat though in the middle of the navy blue. I always laugh at that.
These teams have just been amazing. Looking at the Ithaca boat lineup, it's going to be Cox, Patterson, and Chile, Peloton, Coit, Dickey, Williston, Herbstberger, Adams, and Greenberg. And this is Skidmore now trying to get back into this one the best they can. See that green.
Do we know now they're in second, and Skidmore's trying to, and Union's both.
Union's in third. Union was threatening. We don't know where Union is.
The foreground shot. They'd be in the foreground shot.
But maybe Skidmore's pulled ahead here.
It's hard to say.
For the thoroughbred, their coxswain is going to be Hayden Harlow, then Will Landreau, Grant Steinberger. Skidmore's pulled ahead.
Yeah, Skidmore's
Thomas DeFore,
second.
Charles Ertz, Henry Shannon, Sam Van Adricham,
There's
Bogart, Calcat, and then the bow, Van Den Venetia.
So they don't quite have open water. They got 3/4. They're still overlapping. Union can still come back into second.
Union can still come back.
Anybody can come back now, but
it feels like they might be. It feels like they might slowly be pulling back.
When you have a lead like Ithaca has, then something has to go wrong, like a misstroke, a mistake.
Catching
Catching a crab,
yes.
Broken equipment.
Something catastrophic is.
And at this stage of the race, the referees say that's too bad.
It's too bad.
Yeah,
Tough
too bad.
luck.
You got to finish it out.
Better luck next year, I guess.
So Ithaca's established a boat length of open water. Union
that bow is kind of on that lined up to the Cox now, almost to that bow seat, or that eighth seat.
Now we see the whole field. That arrowhead is holding up. That was just the coaches seeding the programs, and then you get the arrowhead formation. But Union trying to cut into second place. Coxswains at this stage, this is they're in their last 500 meters with 5:20, so they're going to be done in a minute. And they're going to it's a championship. They're going to put their sprint moves, whether they're alongside anybody or not. They're going to call for their sprint moves. They're going to try to bring the cadence up. They're going to have some motivational calls to get the crews fired up. And everybody's finishing strongly here, but there's no real changes going on in the top three.
And if this holds, Ithaca will be going to Golden Lake, California for the IRA Championship.
That's right. They will
as the Liberty League auto bid, as they're now passing our boathouse here, and we can only see them right now. All bombs. Skidmore also catching up now, trying to get any distance. And Union still bow to stern. As this is wrapping up, we're going to get our finish line cam.
And you can tell that the headwind is, the water's good. The water conditions are good, but they're feeling little head breezes, and that's
and you can hear that crowd
contribute to the time not being super fast.
And the Bombers have to keep their spot as Liberty League champions. And there, you can see them celebrating. They're heading to Golden Lake, and they're happy. They've earned it. They've worked hard. And Ithaca College, for the third straight year, are your Liberty League champions.
Yep.
As the rest of the schools are now coming in. Skidmore in second, Union in third.
And it looks like RIT is
RIT
grabbing
and St. Lawrence.
No, St. Lawrence.
St. Lawrence and RIT
looks
rounding
like
out the pack.
St. Lawrence grabbed the 4th spot.
They're rounding out the pack sub 7 times. Impressive all the way around with that wind blowing against them. And
everybody under 7.
Just all under 7, so great racing all the way around. But again, the Ithaca College Bombers.
Usually when you
3
compare men's and women's, if everything else is equal, like if it's the conditions are exactly the same and all that stuff, it's about 50 seconds difference.
Yeah.
It'd be 50 seconds. And since I was coaching rowing alongside my wife, we had a competition, the 50-second rule. And she was like, was I within 50 seconds? Yeah, we beat you. It's like, okay, all right. The 50-second rule is it's a pretty good way to compare. You just want to look at times across conditions and things like that. Can't lean too much on times.
As the next race is getting underway, as these boats are going to head back to shore, will be the men's second varsity 8s, which will be RIT in lane 1, Skidmore lane 2, Ithaca College lane 3, Union A boat in lane 4, and Union's B boat in lane 5. And that will coming up momentarily. But is there anything you saw in that race that you really liked or didn't like from any of the teams?
Well, it just at least for Ithaca, they went out the way they wanted to. They came in as favorites. I'm sure the guys were nervous. This is a peak race for them. This is the decider if they get that invitation. So their season just continued on for almost another month, because their championship in Sacramento doesn't take place until around the 1st of June. I don't know the exact date. So they're going to go through. They're going to row the whole month of May now because of the outcome of that race, but it didn't impact them. They went out strongly. They were smooth. They got the lead, maintained it. The jitters didn't get to them. They rode the way they were supposed to. Pretty much an expected outcome. And they raced Skidmore right at the beginning of the year. It was the last week in March 28th, and they beat Skidmore. And who knew they would be the top 2 teams in the Liberty League at that time?
Yeah.
But that was the predictor, and that's what had happened.
And as we wait for the men's second B to come up, let's talk about Saratoga Springs for a little bit. It's a nice town about 30 minutes north of the capital region, or the capital of New York, Albany. And in June, we'll be hosting the Belmont Stakes, as this weekend is Kentucky Derby weekend. And the Belmonts, which are normally held on Long Island,
that's right,
will be up here in Saratoga Springs. So a busy couple of months. But I got to ask you, as a coach, was there any course that you weren't looking forward to, or were always looking forward to, or any race?
The best course I've ever been on is Lake Lanier in Georgia. They'd set that up. It was for the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta. And then our regional championship went down there twice in 1997 and 2001. Best course I've ever been on. Absolutely. It was just beautiful layout, great for spectating. Of course, they found it for the Olympics. So that was always my favorite, but it was also, we didn't go there a lot. It was in Georgia, and so it was kind of a trip. I was not a fan of Saratoga, although what I like about Saratoga is, and they host a lot of races here, is very consistently you can get the races off. A lot of courses that are 6 lanes wide, if the wind's blowing, there's cancellations. And the wind stirs up white caps and you can't row if it's too wide. Saratoga is a relatively safe place. It's not perfect, but it's safe. And a lot of other courses that we chose for state championships or what have you have not been safe. They're just too high percentage of cancellations due to wind and inclement weather. So Saratoga's good in that regard. And the people that run the races in Saratoga are very good, but spectating is just not great. The people out there can hardly see the race. They come towards them, and they got their binoculars out trying to pick it. And I loved home races. The other big course in Worcester, you can ride alongside and see the racing. There's lots of places to watch from. That's way better, way more conducive to spectating. The courses in New Jersey that had the 6 lanes across, way more conducive to spectating. So this was not a great spectators course.
You're looking at it from spectator, and I was talking with Zoe, who is a Ithaca women's rowing alumni.
She'd have a great outlook.
Great outlook. She actually does not like the Jersey courses.
All right.
She told me those are her least favorites. I remember correctly, I think those courses have a lot more twists and turns in them. And as a cox, it was much more difficult.
The championship races are supposed to be straight.
Yeah.
They have buoyed courses, like you've seen Ithaca, and they got a couple of turns. So it might be confusing fall courses, which are windy, and
long.
The head races where they do for time. Championship courses are supposed to be straight as an arrow, and the ones in New Jersey they're straight. So it may have, but Zoe would be a great resource. The coxswains would be the best resource.
Yeah.
Which are the good courses? Is there idiosyncrasies that make them hard to steer? They're being able to see, have targets to steer at. If you don't have targets, it makes it difficult. They have buoy lines going down the whole length of the course. That makes it pretty straightforward. And the coxswain realizes if you're in the buoys, you're going to get off. So that keeps them in line.
Yeah.
But if you steer off the buoys, then you're going to be attracted to the buoys. You're going to bounce back and forth going down the course. You've got to pick a target straight ahead over the top that makes it feed, and that may be what Zoe was referring to too, that the targets were not good in New Jersey.
Now for the Bombers men's 2V roster, we have Cox Knight, Adkins, Max Detzker, Nolan Boswell, Tynan Fields, Leo Covella, Connor Brighton, Cameron Stanford, Liam Carnahan, and Brody Hart. As this race is about to get underway, the men's 2V. For Skidmore, it's going to be Cox, Izzy Fuller, Hudson Till, Nestor Martinez, Andrew Bertucci, Dimitri Moschortis, I probably butchered that, Joey Papatillo, Riley Mook, Felix Kissel, and David Steinberger.
So we got left to right. We got RIT, Skidmore, Ithaca. Union. All right. So
Union A and Union B.
Yep, and we said that hats off to Union. They're the one Liberty League team that's competing with 3/8 on the men's side.
Yeah.
And the top Division III schools the top ranked Division III schools in New England are all competing with at least 4 boats, but most of them are competing with 5 boats. And they've been ripping off faster times and are higher ranked. Those numbers, I think, help speed.
And
that depth helps speed.
Men's 2V off to the races here. All these teams very close for the start. No team really pulling ahead. Ithaca kind of drifting, kind of tilting almost a little bit.
Yeah, so you come off the start, and if you're not pointed exactly right, and the referee says go, you just got to go, and you'll see boats do that little wiggle at the start, left, right, left, do a little dance move, but once they get going, if you can hold a nice line, then the coxswain's doing the job. But that wiggle is not really out of there, because if you're sitting still, the wind's blowing. So Ithaca is getting a lead on this one, and I think. If I'm going to check my notes real quick, though, but yeah, Ithaca's second varsity men have won 3 years in a row. So they have a longer streak than the varsity men. They've won 2 years in a row, now 3. So they've won their 3rd straight today. If the Ithaca wins this one, it'll be our 4th straight win in the second varsity in the Liberty League.
And in that box to your right, you have the now Liberty League champions, Ithaca College varsity 8 men's rowing team, and that's just. You can see them celebrating. They're happy. They're you're proud of them. They've worked all season for this moment, and they were the favorites going into it, and they proved why they were the favorites. And
they've put themselves in some really tight races the last 2 weeks, both at the Connect Cup, which 2 weeks ago they didn't have a great result, but they were in the middle of a race where 4 boats were separated by tenths of a second, and then last week in Worcester, where they lost very tight races to Marriott and Colby, but again, just seconds apart, closed water, overlapping, and that just gets them to be better racers. And this one now that someone's keeping up with, it's Skidmore. Skidmore is right on Ithaca's tail, and this has taken Ithaca. Looks kind of like the way the varsity race played out.
Yeah.
Ithaca got its full length right about at 2.5 minutes. Skidmore's trying to hang on. Let's see what's going on. good. I'm glad to have these water shots. We can get a little better close-up view of the rowing together. They all row together. As far as the championship finals, everybody's rowing together. They're well coached. So it's a matter about how much horsepower is in the boat and how are they executing the intended stroke. But there's still overlap, so that's not a full length, and that's still.
Oh, you can actually see Skidmore kind of catching up right here.
And the overlap is so important because that means the Skidmore guys can hear the Ithaca coxswain. They can see out of the corner of their eye, and that gives them fuel. It's like they're right there. Let's go. Let's push back. If when you get open water, then you lose contact, and as soon as you don't hear the opponent's boat anymore, you're kind of like sagging. And right now, Ithaca's making the move for open water.
Yeah,
Ithaca's
bow for
making
stern
the push.
now.
3 minutes.
And Ithaca's pushing ahead of that 3 minute.
Right at the 3 minute mark, they got
Skidmore
open
trying
water.
to keep up.
It's all right. So Ithaca just got the open water, and sometimes you can see it stretch out because if they get out of contact with Skidmore, there's going to be a natural letdown. I mean, it's not Skidmore or anybody else. It's like that. There's that letdown. You were right there. You thought you had them, and then you can't. They're out of sight. When they're out of sight, not of sound, well, they're out there, and we're not in first anymore. So, all right, but it's very decisive second place position for Skidmore right now. So that's Ithaca and Skidmore controlling the race, and they probably they're in the third 500. They're in the third quarter. And this has not been a day where third 500s have made a difference, except for the Rochester Ithaca women's race we saw earlier.
Yeah.
And most coaches will say the third 500 is the most important part of the race. In a close race, that's when both teams are the most exhausted. They're the most distressed. They're all pooped out from rowing. So who can make a move, and that's where you can break the other crew. And Ithaca's breaking them out a little bit now, pulling away. They got a half length of open water. Third 500, it was a good first 1,000, but third 500, Ithaca's putting some distance.
Yeah, Ithaca really asserting their control in this race in the men's second varsity eights, with the next race being the men's open fours, which will have one of our executive producers, Cam Strong.
There's a Union boat, and there's the RIT boat across the way.
Ithaca and Skidmore, two great schools, and really proven just how well coached
Skidmore
both
has
these are.
really improved the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
They've improved tremendously. They went through a stretch where they barely had 4 guys rowing on their squad, but now they put out 2 8s the last couple of years. And the depth is paying off. It's lodged them into the second position. They were not beating RIT and Union, in St. Lawrence, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But now they're solidly in second. But Ithaca taking charge now, and they're looking like getting a boat length. So a good follow-up. Now, again, they don't impact the invitation, but they will get an invitation to go. They because of the varsity one, they will, I believe, both boats will head out to Sacramento for the IRA championship. Now, the Skidmore and the other Liberty League teams are going to that regional championship in Worcester next week. And that's a big, regional race for Division III, New England and New York. But the Ithaca men are not going to do that. They're going to wait and prep for a month and try to knock off those New England teams in Sacramento when they race them next month.
Yeah, the NESCAC, kind of how I've described it to my friends who do not go to D3 schools, as both Ithaca and Skidmore are passing our boathouse in this final stretch. It's kind of like the NESCAC schools, the New England schools, are like the Big Ten SEC of D3, and you're seeing them pass right now, and you can hear them screaming, the fans right there trying to cheer on their team in that final stretch. And I've always kind of compared it, like, literally kind of like your ACC, That's kind of a good way to compare it for those who don't get D3 sports all too much. As Ithaca College is going to take this victory at around 6:42, 6:43.
Yep.
If we're taking an unofficial time.
Yep, and there's the water's good. We can see it's perfectly rollable, but the breeze is dead headwind.
Yeah.
So it's just putting 20 seconds of extra time on these races. If without wind, they'd probably be 20 seconds faster.
Yeah, and
Union and
we now have Andrew as these boats winners. We have Andrew on the shoreline waiting for us. Andrew.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm here with the assistant coach of the 3-time Liberty League champion Ithaca Bombers. It's Jake Lentz. And Jake, third Liberty League title in a row, as I mentioned. What did it take to get to this point?
You know, it took buy-in from everyone in the program from the bottom up. You know, everyone's got to keep pushing us towards the goal. It took good, strong leadership from our captains, from our senior class, and it just takes guys buying into the winter training, to the hard work, to the good days, to the bad days. You know, they've had some races this year where the lineup has changed like day of, and they still showed up and raced. So they finally got a race with a few more practices under their belt, and yeah, it's great. It's hard to do. It's hard to repeat, but happy to do it.
And among those seniors, one who got IRCA recognition a year ago in Bryce Williston. How has his leadership helped this 1V boat?
Oh my God! I just got to throw it back a little bit. Bryce was a freshman when I was a senior on the team, and you know he bleeds bomber blue. Like, you do a blood test on that guy, it's coming out blue. You know, he brings everyone with him, and he pushes everyone to be their best self. And he's a great all-around guy. Gonna miss him next year, but we get to continue rowing. So.
Yeah, and you guys get to continue on to the IRAs out in Sacramento. So what's going into the preparation for that in a month?
Yeah, you know, it's taking more strokes together. It's doing all the hard things on the days that, you know, it's not easiest, but you know, we get to continue rowing and we get to enjoy more time with this team, and it's just awesome. Just love these guys.
Yeah, tell me more about how that feels to know that you guys are going to be able to continue.
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Just more time you get to spend with the team. It's the best feeling as a coach.
Guys, thank you so much. We will send it back to the booth. And Jake, thank you so much for that.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And yeah, you get to see again the finish of the men's varsity 8 right there. And I mean, you could see the emotion, how much this means to this team to get a chance to continue their season, go to Sacramento and spend more time together. And Bryce, you know, just such an important person to this team, and you have to wonder, hey, coming out of this, finish the season strong, but what's next? Do we keep this up? Can we go 4 in a row? Can we go 5 in a row? Can we become the new Hobarts of the Liberty League?
Well, Jake's comment was great about buy-in. He you know, everybody, you know, we have been kind of mentioning that the depth of the program matters, and what the 3Vs and the 2Vs do, and the 4s and stuff, that they got to push and substitute. I will tell you that Ithaca's had a lot of really bad luck in the early season, whether it's a bus breakdown or equipment breakdown or bodies breaking down. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they're healthy and they'll be at their best health next month. Jake is something else. He described Bryce as bleeding bomber blue. Jake had to be as much of a leader or a popular teammate as Ithaca's ever had. His freshman year, he was acting like a senior captain. So it's funny he picked out Bryce. Those two guys are twins from different eras, you know. So that hats off to the Ithaca Bomber men for winning the 2 races today.
Yes, and coming up, there will be the men's Open 4. We're going to have Rochester B boat, and now Rochester's A boat, which is going to be Stella Lampert as Cox, Evan Norton, Jacob Miller, Joseph Song, and Ali Selby. Then you're going to have Ithaca in lane 3. You can tell with those blue and white boats and the blue and white oars, with Jack Harkins as the Cox, Cam Strong, one of our executive producers, Brett Markowski, Brennan Moan, and Zach Bowley. And then in lane 4, the RIT Tigers with Lydia Jin, Cooper Philishman, Bryce Edge, Sonny Morali Garapa, and Carter Jacobs.
The Rochester's probably a favorite. The Ithaca matched up with a 4 with them early in the season. Early in the season, 4s, though, if there is a lineup change, it has a much more big impact on the boat. And the 4s are usually feeders to the 8s, so they change a lot during the course of the year, the lineups and whatnot, so it could be a completely different personality. But of note, Rochester did not row any 8s. This is their entire men's program right here.
2
look
4s.
And look at the steering problems in lane 2. But all 8 of their guys broke up into 2 4s, and that's their program. They didn't have any 8s. So it's you know, we'll see if it's impacted. Obviously, they could have some elite athletes in there. Ithaca with a start, though. It's very exciting to see them get a start, and that's going to be a confidence builder to them because they raced the Rochester 4 earlier and were beaten. Ithaca 4 won their last race 2 weeks ago in Worcester, beating a couple 4s from WPI.
Yeah.
So they know how to roll with the lead, and they're going to be fired up. Look at Cam Strong, our executive producer on this production team. He's sitting in the stroke seat, and he's got to be feeling pretty good about getting a length lead early in the race.
Yeah, they have pulled ahead to an early start. Both Rochester boats trying to keep up. So that's going to be Rochester's A boat now, trying to catch up with the Bombers. And these Rochester schools, there's 3 of them here today: Rochester, RIT, and St. John Fisher, all on the Genesee River. So these 3 are very familiar with each other.
You know, and so they got a big lead here. So but in 4s, leads are less safe.
Yeah.
Because again, one rower plays
much more important
yeah,
role.
he's double his importance. So if there's one rower breaking down a little bit, running out of gas a little bit, that can really impact the boat. And it doesn't take much for a trailing boat to get some juice. If 1 or 2 guys buy into what the coxswain's saying and they put on a move, it can really, you see changes in the smaller boats much more common than you do in the 8s because each guy's factor into it is a higher degree. So this is a good battle. That guy in the 3 seat for the Ithaca boat was a college football punter.
Wow.
And he spent 1 year trying to punt and didn't make the team, but he was a high school kicker, and so there he is applying his athleticism to that 4. He's a puller. He pulls all the time.
The one thing I was told in high school all the times that I should have done rowing. I kept saying I should have done rowing. I was like,
you got the length for it, long limbs.
I got the length. I don't know if I have the stamina for it though. That was almost our fantasy football punishment.
I'm not sure I had stamina for it, but I.
You did it for love of the game, yeah.
You just decide, okay, I like this sport. I'm going to make stamina. I'm going to work at it.
We thought about having a 5K as our fantasy football punishment with like a rowing machine, and then we were like, well, half of us did rowing, so that wouldn't be much of a challenge.
This is a good. The Bombers got to be excited about this race because, like I said, they did lose to the U of R 4 earlier in the season, and who knows what's going to happen. They got the lead, and so now they're rowing with a lead. They haven't really extended the lead in the last 500 meters. They're probably coming up. You can expect on neutral conditions they'd be about a 7:10 crew, and we talked about the wind maybe 20 seconds, so they might be a 7:30 race or a 7:40 race. We'll see. So they're just about halfway, and they've got a lead, but this is, in a 4, much more tenuous than in an 8. The leads don't always hold up the way you want them to. But these guys Jake was talking about buy-in. These guys are buying in, and so if they've done the fitness training, they're not at the end of the roster saying, I'm not going to work as hard as the first stringers. No, they're doing the same amount of training that the first stringers are. They should be able to hold this lead. And so you expect that to happen. They got to be in the third 500 based on the time. Yeah, that big white buoy on the left-hand side of the picture, I think, is probably the halfway mark. And so now they are in the third 500. And this, I think, will decide it. If Rochester catches up, then I would predict them to win the race if they pull up even. If Ithaca holds this lead, they've won the third 500 and they've broken Rochester. So it's the Rochester B boat and the RIT boats are back. It looks like RIT's in third, another Rochester boat in fourth. But Ithaca's extending its lead. They are fit enough to row this third 500 strongly and hang on. I think the Rochester guys are probably pretty fit, but like I said before, they lose contact. If the rowers aren't here in that other boat, they think, okay, we're just out of this. But this is a hard part of the race. They're in distress. They're out of gas, but they don't let it impact them. They just keep at it.
Yeah, and
Ithaca
it looks
strong.
like Ithaca has decided to.
Still a ways to go.
Still a ways to go.
About
halfway though, but they
have
really maintained that control. It looks like almost RIT's kind of bobbing and weaving it. You can kind of see that trail.
Oh,
how they had to readjust.
Yeah, they're zigzagging a little bit. Yep.
And that Rochester B boat way out in the back, keeping up with RIT. RIT might be starting to gain a little bit of lead. I imagine RIT, you're kind of trying to keep up with the other boat now.
You can see the steering for the Rochester A boat is running a little bit towards port side.
Yeah.
They got to get back on course. That's not going to help a comeback. You start doing a little bit of an ellipse or something, that's not going to help you get there quicker.
And we can't really tell from here, but one of the interesting things that I kind of learned last time I watched a four race is how much more important balance is in a four boat.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We saw in previous races these four boats can wobble very easily.
Yep.
And what you saw is over this last month of the season for both Ithaca and Rochester is how both of these teams have improved in their balance, in their coordination, and being able to, and to see this as Rochester. Still, you can kind of see they're also weaving Ithaca a little bit as well, but kind of their trail gets cut off a little by that other boat behind them.
Ithaca handled that third 500, and they're comfortably now, barring an error or a mistake, will cruise in. They got about 30 seconds of rowing left, a little more than that. They take maybe 45 seconds of rowing left, but they're in comfortable position. And it's they're probably hearing the cheers from the fans now a little bit now. They get close enough to the finish line.
They're going to start to pick up as it's getting louder and louder as they're starting to come across our boathouse now.
Yeah, they'll be excited about this victory. They feel like they've taken some lumps, as I mentioned, losing to U of R, and they lost some early season races, but now they're on a two-race win streak with multiple boats beating them, so that really builds confidence, and that's what they train for.
And
it's the highlight of their season, these races right here.
The Bombers finishing out strong in this final stretch for the Open Fours. And they wanted that. And that's that Varsity A team, Liberty League champion team, cheering on their four. Rochester coming in second, Rochester A boat coming in second, and then RIT and Rochester's B boat late.
Jake talked about buy-in, and that's an evidence when your first string teammates are cheering that loudly for the third string teammates, then you got a good team culture going on, and everybody's happy. Winning makes people happy. I'm sure there's a lot of good team culture in some of those other teams, but I don't think you can win without it. That doesn't guarantee you winning, but I don't think you win without it. So.
Yeah, and coming up next will be the Women's Open Four with RIT, William Smith, Ithaca College, and U of R. And then later, the petite and grand finals for the women's varsity eights that will decide who gets the automatic bid to the NCAA's.
Not sure there's a lot of suspense, but they got to run the course. That's why they
you never know what happens. Something.
That's right.
That's
100%.
As they say in football, any given Sunday, any given Saturday, any given race, anything can happen. There might be a shock. As we await the Women's Open Four, some other events happening across the Liberty League right now. Men's lacrosse later today. RIT, our 3 seed, the number 12 ranked RIT Tigers will be heading up to Canton to take on the number 16 St. Lawrence Saints. Mentioned Union's 4 seed taking on the number 17 ranked Ithaca Bombers at Higgins Stadium in Ithaca College. Women's lacrosse, the 3 seed, as we actually get our men's varsity times in. Ithaca with a 6:23, Skidmore in second with a 6:31, Union 7 seconds behind, and then St. Lawrence another 7 behind, and then RIT only 3 seconds behind St. Lawrence. It's Ithaca. Would you say 8-second difference is pretty comfortable in winning your championship?
Yeah, that's right. It's a good margin. So that and we saw that. Again, if you're getting open water in a championship, that's something to be proud of. I mean, and that's a significant victory. So a boat length is about, in the men's rowing, is about 3.5 seconds. 7 seconds would be a boat length of open water, and they got a little bit more than that. They got 8.5 seconds, 8.4. So, a decisive win. Skidmore can hold its head up. They what did we say? They were 13 seconds behind Ithaca early in the year.
Yeah, early in the year, and
so they chopped
cut that
5
into 8.
seconds
Yeah,
off that split. So they got something to look forward to. And as far as Coach Manny there is concerned, he's still got a rising program. He still thinks he's gaining, he's rising. He does have some seniors in his varsity women's 8, but they've done nothing but gotten faster and more competitive the last 3 or 4 years.
I mean, we might come back 365 days from now, and it might be a different story. It might be Skidmore going to IRA,
Never know.
that rising program,
Yep.
and things can change. I mean, the landscape, the environment, the ecosystem can change as Ithaca rowers celebrating outside the boathouses.
Victory. Yep.
And also Andrew
They'll get
happened to be over there.
They'll get trophy T-shirts and stuff.
Trophy T-shirts
Yep.
and
award ceremonies after all the races. So
3 straight Liberty League championships, and
the women will have a tough assignment ahead of them. They've won 7 straight.
they want to keep
But
the streak going.
it's all the indicators say that
That's gonna be
William
William
Smith's
Smith.
the heavy favorite. We'll just have to see what goes on. One thing about rowing too, and an old coach told me, a mentor of mine, said every day you're rowing, you're just doing the same thing over and over again. You're grinding, but you do it because you have these moments of magic. And by that I mean all 8 rowers just being exactly together for these segments. You can just feel the boat go faster. And I've seen individual races, individual moments where boats just take off. We've seen over the years great sprints, comeback sprints. And that's magic, a team finding magic in the last 300 meters of a race to come back with those big margins. It happens, and that's what all those teams chasing William Smith are going to be looking for. Get
Yes.
that moment of magic.
And now we have our women's second varsity 8 result coming
That was
in.
the 7-boat race.
It's going to be William Smith with a 7:15, Rochester with a 7:34, Ithaca 7:47, Skidmore a 7:58, St. Lawrence a 8:02, RIT an 8:12, and a Union with 8:29. So pretty decent margins, an 18-second difference, almost 18 seconds, 19-second split.
Yeah, you picked up on that
between-
misprint on the screen there.
Yes.
That RIT. That doesn't make sense, but you found the 8:12 was the actual time. So.
Yeah, so just very, very dominant race right there. 20-second, 19-second difference. And with the women's 4 getting started, going back to that men's 4, shout out again to executive producer Cam Strong in what is his final race, I think, getting a win. And
Yeah,
it's not the end of rowing for him, though. His sister at William Smith, so
he's got a sister.
he has a sister at rowing at William Smith, so he got 2 more years coming to these events. He's told us so.
All right.
We were not the end. We'll see if Cam Strong at Ithaca College rowing events as the women's varsity 4s are about to get underway.
We got left to right: RIT, William Smith, Ithaca, and U of R.
Yes.
And
Finger
again,
Lakes versus the Genesee
you get to
Rivers.
the 4s. That's the bottom edge of the roster. There's no real knowledge of how these teams might match up.
Yeah.
If they raced like earlier in the season, the lineups could probably are really changed. They changed their lineups changed the most at the bottom of the roster. They could have people coming back from injury or where they have freshmen that have improved a lot or whatever. But there's your lineup across the board: Rochester, William Smith, Ithaca, and U of R. And Ithaca, along with William Smith, have filled in every event. They've raced the first 8, second 8, third 8, and the 4.
Ithaca has not. Ithaca, this is their 4th straight event where they're going to be in lane 3. So they've occupied lane 3 all day long. As the next race will again be women's 4 petite final and grand final, and that looks like to be the varsity 8.
Yeah, they're getting ready to launch.
Getting ready to launch for what could be the final race of the season.
Well,
no, they're going to.
Yeah, they're going to the Worcester.
They're going to Worcester.
They'll have a crack at the NCAA with an at-large break
bid
if they don't get the automatic here. William Smith is going as well, and I think Skidmore is going. So you got the top teams. So whoever finishes in second figures, okay, we got a long shot chance at next week if we can pull off a strong result and get an at-large position. Now, right now they're not quite ranked high enough for that at-large position.
So you really gotta
they gotta pull some upsets.
Make
They'll have a lot of boats there that they can try to knock off, and the racing there is very exciting. It's my favorite regatta of the season, the Worcester Regatta.
Yeah, and again, Rochester, IC, and Skidmore, 12, 13, and 14 respectively. William Smith, if somehow they don't win as the Women's Open 4 gets started, if they somehow don't win, in theory, right now they're sitting comfortably to get an at-large bid. The other schools got some work to do, as you were saying.
That's right.
If they're on the bubble.
That's right.
Pretty much. As they're going to get started here, and it's looking like RIT got a bit of an edge against Ithaca to start this one off. RIT again on that far lane 1, and then Ithaca in lane 3, U of R in lane 4, and that's going to be William Smith in lane 2 with the black boat.
Yeah, the white boats are RIT on the left, Ithaca on the right. The darker colored boats.
William Smith and Rochester.
There you go. Yep, there you go.
And this is RIT and Ithaca to get started. William Smith, though, keeping up, and Rochester.
Now remember what William Smith did in that third boat race when Ithaca was right with him for 500 meters, 600 meters. They looked dead even, and then it was at William Smith's race the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Is it going to translate to their 4? Whether they come back or not, I don't know, but I bet you those William Smith athletes have been trained to row that second half.
Yeah.
And they will not
Yeah,
fade.
as the coach said, they were trained to finish these races. They needed to become finishers, and they so far have been.
So far, they've proven the course. So yeah, and they're creeping back into the middle of this. Ithaca and RIT on either side. William Smith is hounding them right now.
Yeah.
So
and
good job by RIT.
Like
it's the
William
best.
Smith is caught up with Ithaca.
That's the best we've seen from RIT today.
Yeah.
That holding the lead in this race, getting some run on theirs. Yep, and William Smith has caught Ithaca. It's crept their way past them. You know, and so we saw that in the 4 and the 8. It just means at the bottom part of the roster, you know, that there's a little more horsepower, a little more fitness in the William Smith. And in a year, you can change that. You train and you work, you set goals, and you work that. But right now, William Smith is moved its way past Ithaca after starting out behind.
Yeah, and William Smith and Ithaca are both two perennial contenders across all sports in the Liberty Leagues. Ithaca, this is their third conference championship, the men's varsity, winning the third of the school year for Ithaca, the other two being field hockey and also volleyball. And in William Smith, women's soccer, were always one of the best teams. And this is
rowers
RIT.
look comfortable,
Yeah,
and
they
so
look
they got
comfortable.
the lead. You know, they're not rowing perfectly, but it doesn't look like there's any distress going on. They're tired. Their legs are burning, but they're holding their form, holding their posture, and the first assault from William Smith, they've weathered it. You know, they got their lead, and then they win the first 500. Now they're still winning the second 500. William Smith hasn't really gained on that.
Well, they're starting to. That bow was kind of caught up to that last seat.
A little bit.
And Ithaca has fallen behind.
Yep, fallen back a little bit.
This is becoming a two boat race between the Tigers and the Herons.
Yep. See if the Tigers can hold on to otherwise William Smith's headed for a sweep of the women's events.
Yeah.
Well, you got the varsity coming up.
Varsity Yates, but right now the Tigers looking to break any chance of that sweep now.
Yep.
But William Smith gaining of every stroke. They have now caught up to about, it looked like that second seat right there. And it's getting close. It's getting close. And for RIT as a Cox, you know, you're sitting in the front in these 4 boats, so you can't really see what's happening behind you.
Yeah, that's
as well.
right. It's a different perspective. They can steer better. Not going to crash into anything during practices and stuff. So it's a safety thing, but they can't really look across to see what the other boats are doing. They don't have the same information that a coxswain sitting up in the back would see. But this turned into a good race. You know, it's still not over. This is one of the best races we've had this deep into it.
And you really want to hope that it stays that tight. William Smith is getting close. They've caught up to that front seat. It looks like almost.
Yeah, they're creeping.
They're creeping up with every stroke. And
let's see if RIT can have an answer. They've probably just gotten to the halfway point.
Yeah.
It would be expected that they could be about an 8:40 time in this race. So there's still a good portion to go. the coxswain in this situation, William Smith coxswain, has a little advantage because she's seen that she's been gaining and she can see the boats. Or the RIT coxswain is ahead and can't really see William Smith coming up behind him. That's sometimes the case where one of the rowers might say to the coxswain, call for a push because this boat's gaining on us, and the coxswain doesn't see it.
Yeah, RIT lineup being coxswains Delaney Hitchcock with Jolene Ortega, Maeve McNamara, Ella Byers, and Ali Van de Linda. And William Smith really just digging to catch them. Therefore, Mary Lee Nielsen, Grace Jung, Marie Voss, Megan Jones, and Anna Padone. And that is a very talented roster, as we have heard from the coach. Grace Jung listed as a commercial sea captain.
All right.
So very experienced with the water right there as William Smith is. RIT looking like they might be starting to pull ahead again.
Yeah, for first place, this is the closest race we've seen other than that early race, that heat between Rochester and Ithaca. So we haven't had any real battles for first that weren't decided. This is definitely not decided. This is the second closest race.
This can go either way.
Yep.
Like there's still
second
at least
closest
2
race.
minutes, almost minute and a half left in this.
Yep, there's still plenty of time left to William Smith. RIT has fended them off. Earlier we saw them rowing, and they looked like they were steady, like they weren't no breakdowns in what they were doing, and that's paying off. They're disciplined, and we can't see close up how the rowing looks now, but you would say, hey, I know they're in distress. There's fatigue. Their legs are burning and all that. But how are they mentally in terms of this race? Just seeing that boat. Sometimes a big disadvantage to be in the lead because you're seeing this boat and you spend so much time looking at the boat chasing you, and you forget about the feel and the concentration you need to have in your own boat. Yeah. Teams have done that. They just look at the boat coming at them. Can we stay ahead of them? Can we stay ahead of them? And then all of a sudden they break down and the boat comes shooting by them.
And you're kind of seeing right now with the trails, it's kind of been back and forth. You'll see William Smith kind of lose their kind of tilt a little bit, and then RIT gains that distance back. Then RIT will make that same little mistake, and then William Smith is able to gain some of that ground back. And as you get to the 7-minute mark, it's William Smith's bow kind of lined up with that.
They're in the sprint, and William Smith has risen the cadence right here.
But
they're not gaining.
Yeah,
they're not really gaining on them.
And
RIT's holding.
Do you have to wonder, are they not catching enough water? Is something happening? Is it a balance thing? What's going on?
No, it just RIT's answering right now. There's a bunch of little things that could be going on. You and I have no idea.
Yeah.
So right now you just think of it, put themselves in your head, and RIT's rowing for their lives to hang on to that race. They have determination. That simple thing is what's keeping them in the lead. William Smith has definitely brought the rate up. They're bringing the cadence up. It hasn't helped them gain anything, and RIT might have a full boat length. RIT has just raced beautifully. That's the thing. That early on they were calm. They got a lead, and they saw this boat
and
challenging them.
They're in the home stretch right now. We've seen them. They're passing us right now. They've just passed us, and it is the home stretch. The Tigers looking to hold on to win this Women's Open 4.
Hats off to RIT because they had the pressure on them from the beginning. They had the lead, and then were staring at these chasers, and they just stayed in front. They stayed on top.
Rowing.
Sorry, we lose them in the picture.
Yeah, and they've crossed that finish line.
They crossed that line.
Around 8:26 to 8:27. We'll call it an unofficial time. We'll get official times for you later. And William Smith not going to sweep the women's events. RIT said not today.
That's right.
We're going to take one.
Yeah, RIT, and they really did a great job. I mean, they never had a huge lead. So they could have given it up at any time.
And the yellow hats for Ithaca crossing the finish line now.
Boy, that's something. That's an interesting race. That RIT was in command of that 4.
Yeah.
And they just didn't let it waver. And William Smith, I bet you they're thinking that we can catch him. Then they get desperate. We haven't caught him yet.
Now we are going to send it down to our shoreline reporter, Andrew Roberts. Andrew.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm here with Paul Champagne of St. Lawrence Rowing. And Paul, your last year in the program, last day racing with the program. As you look back on these 4 years, what sticks out as your favorite memory?
It's a good question. I think coming in as a freshman, we had a really great crew, and we were able to qualify for IRAs back then, and head out to Princeton, New Jersey. That was definitely my favorite memory. Yeah. No, that's all I got to say.
Yeah, for sure. And this year, definitely a strong effort against Ithaca, against Skidmore. What are you guys looking to build on from this race as you sort of pass the torch to the next years?
Yeah, well, it's been a tough year for the program. Unfortunately, our spring break trip got canceled on us, and we had a lot of guys that ended up, leaving the program, decided to do other things with their time. But I think we kind of brought it home today. It wasn't the best race, I don't think, but again, given the harsh conditions that we face up in the North Country, we haven't had as much water time as we hoped. So hopefully we can bring it to Union next weekend at Long Lake. So.
Yeah, and despite the struggles, what was your favorite part of being here today?
The beautiful weather, man. Good competition, great guys. Yeah, it's just a good time to be out here rowing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Paul. We'll send it back to the booth.
Thank you so much, Andrew. And yeah,
St. Lawrence has a history. They are in the North Country.
yes.
And their program relatively is pretty new. They didn't exist in the 90s. They started up in the early 2000s. And they're way out there. Their boathouse is a long distance from their campus. They had to be really resilient to get this program going. And I just have a lot of credit for St. Lawrence. St. Lawrence would come to Ithaca for many years in mid-April to race us, and it'd be their first time on the water. We were talking about Rochester, Genesee River. Every year they have trouble getting on the water, and they're limited with their water time. They're coached by the men's coach is George Rapicki, an Ithaca College grad, and I coached him. And Paul Champagne there was referring to his freshman year. He was one of the super frosh in their terrific boat that won the Liberty League. And like you said, a lot of those guys ended up transferring or dropping off of the program, and they're not the team he was. But hats off to that fella for hanging in there and sticking with it, and he's got good memories. They do kind of a unique thing that this is not their last race. They'll go up to the Adirondacks. They have a duel with Union, and it's up in Long Lake, Adirondacks. They camp. It's kind of a bonding thing, and then they have this long race on the lake, and it's just their end-of-season rivalry, and it's become a tradition. It's a great tradition.
Yeah,
for
it's a
them.
great tradition. It's probably a fun tradition.
And they'll
as
remember
well.
it for a long time.
And you speak of rivalries. I got to ask you, as a coach, was there any school that you would have said was your biggest rival?
For me and the athletes, it may have been different. So the athletes picked up, and for a long time was RIT, and they had great crews. That since the pandemic, they have been, they've had to sort things out. Now they've got a good coach. We could see them climb. We had a series of really close races. So I honestly, I have to say RIT, but going all the way back to when I was rowing, and then I never had that interruptions. For a while it was Marist College, and then the New England schools like Williams and Trinity. We raced Williams and Trinity in Connecticut every year for about 12 years, and they were so good. We didn't always lose them. We did beat them once or twice, not very often though. But that's why it hit me as a rivalry.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys, RIT was close. We started racing them twice a year, and we had so many close races with them. We won the majority of them, but they won their share, and so a little bit different.
Yeah.
But RIT or Williams and Trinity.
Yeah, and coming up next, the women's varsity A petite finals, and we're gonna have Union and St. John Fisher. And we still don't know what happened with Union, why they didn't.
That would be a
race
good.
that'd be a great
question for Andrew.
Question. Andrew can hear us. I'm pretty sure. So Andrew,
yeah,
you can
Andrew,
find
you
someone.
Can hear us. Find out.
Ask. That would be great.
Find out why Union was not able to row in their heat to start the day.
But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the varsity V8's first race of the day against a St. John Fisher school that just wants to finish out strong.
Yep.
Right, and then looking ahead to the grand final, RIT, Ithaca, William Smith, U of R, Skidmore, and St. Lawrence.
They have in international soccer, you've heard of friendlies. They play these. They don't count, but they play these games. They're not part of a tournament, and that's what this would be as a friendly.
Yeah.
Normally, you'd say, all right, they failed to show up at the line, if there was a penalty involved, they'd be disqualified from the regatta. But they could have said, listen, this is the friendly. It's not the final. It's the last race for St. John Fisher. And Fisher's going to say, no, let's do this. Let's line up and let's do the petite final. We don't care that you didn't race earlier today. And so we'll call this a friendly.
They listed as Union Boat Club instead of Union College. So that might be something to keep an eye out for.
Yep.
But it's
got to be bittersweet for Union. I mean, they were ready to be in a regular heat, and something happened. They didn't get to race. The worst feeling in rowing has nothing to do with losing. It's not competing.
Yeah.
So the couple of occasional times that we'd make a big effort to go to a regatta and weather may have stormed the whole thing out and we're driving home, that was the worst feeling ever. We didn't even get a chance to race.
Yeah,
didn't get a chance to row.
Yeah, absolutely. As an athlete, you just want to compete.
That's right.
That's one,
you got it, Travis.
Listen, I was never a high school athlete, but even in middle school, elementary school, I'd be like I would be so frustrated if a soccer game got canceled or if I was hurt, I was too sick, something happened. You just want to get out there to compete. You go all the way down there and you just want to have a chance to show, hey, this is what I've been working for. It's kind of like really with anything. I feel like if you're a competitive person, that's just kind of how life is. Something happens or something gets canceled, or it's a party, a get together, even at dinner. You just want it to be there.
And if you're in a sport, then you are a competitive person.
Absolutely.
That's why you're participating in the sport. So, yeah, they want a chance to compete. So this is a friendly between these two teams, and it could be the last race for, I don't know what their schedules, what Fisher and Union are doing, but this could be their last race. So that I'm sure they're anxious to compete.
Yeah, Fisher and Union lining up for the women's varsity petite finals, and just a fantastic season all the way around for all these schools, though. And I mean, you've worked all year for this moment. You just want to really show what you got, and I'm excited to see this petite final. I've fallen in love with rowing. I will say this past year. It has been finally after years of my friends begging me to get into this, I've gotten into it, and I'm like, I missed out watching them on the Occoquan out in Virginia. One of them was a Cox at University of Washington for a year.
All right.
And then one of my cousins was actually a rower for George Washington University, if I remember correctly. For St. John Fisher's women's varsity, it was going to have Anna Winters again as the Cox, Anna Foe, Rhea Malmquist, Adelie DeMarco, Lily Burke, Izzy Haney, Maddie Wilger, Yan Huang, and Coral Brown. And for Union, maybe, we will have their roster coming soon. But this has been just a great day, and it's been amazing. And we're getting word now that the reason Union's women's team did not race was their transportation got here a little late.
Oh, I heard about that. Their bus broke down.
Oh, man.
The bus didn't arrive. The bus didn't show up. I talked to the coaches when I first got here at 7. So the bus didn't. I didn't even stop to think that the bus was so late they didn't get here in time for competition. Oh, that's
just unbelievably frustrating, and you just have to feel terrible for them. But they get a chance right now. That's a great start for them off the start line, and they there's maybe more motivation right now.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to show that we belong, so we're going to show, and we're going to give it everything we got. They're showing it.
Yeah, that's right. They have energy just pouring out of their pores right now. They just can't wait to lay it out there. Boy, that's a bummer. That just stinks. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. A couple of weeks ago, the Ithaca men on a trip to New Jersey, their bus broke down in the Lehigh Tunnel in Pennsylvania, and they sat on the bus for 3 hours. But fortunately, they were going to the race the day before, and they got to the race on time. But just stuff like that is just, wow. And Union's so close. It's
right there.
You say, we're just going to.
So frustrating.
Yeah, we're just going to go up there this morning of the race.
And that just says you just got to feel terrible for them. But they're putting it all out on the course right now. They are rowing strong, and Union, again, unbelievably talented.
It won't mean anything, but I can guarantee you those Union kids will look at the time of this race and they'll be comparing how the time matched, compared to the heat times. It won't mean anything because we see more waves a little bit. The water is just a little bit bumpier, and the times will continue to be a little bit slow by comparison. But I guarantee you they'll be looking at times. They'll be. If they win this, they're going to win this race. It looks like
epitome of like a pride race almost.
Yep.
You're racing for pride.
Yep.
Racing to say, hey, we deserve the chance. And
they're looking pretty good, rowing together, and
great cohesion from them.
This is a view. I like these overhead views of the drone. We've seen a lot of them over today. But if you want to see what a boat's doing, how far they're propelling the boat between strokes, look at the puddles. So you look at the oars go into the water, and they make circles of water make puddles in the water. So they make 8 oars go in, they make 8 puddles. The boat glides past. Are they getting clear of the 8 previous puddles? They are just getting clear, which is pretty good. They got a women's boat rolling along here, and they're just getting clear of the 8 previous puddles from the stroke before, and that they're getting good run on their boat between strokes. And that puddle space, you can see it. Sometimes the boats are rigged a little differently, and there's things that make it different. But
that is expert analysis that only a pro like you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I'm the pro. I just look at the way the puddles are spaced out. I was not much with stroke watches and technology. But they're in command of this race. That Fisher boat is really a beginner's boat, and hopefully they can get some fuel and growth.
Yeah.
They got to have the growth and can commit to a commitment to training.
Oh, we got a guy in a speedboat going past them as well.
The best friend of a rower. So hopefully this is not going to impact this race too much.
And Union just in full control.
I can tell the listeners out there that rowing in boat wakes is next to impossible.
I have to imagine.
Oh, it's awful.
I'd never even rowed myself, and I spent a summer on a boat just working with like a boating company, and every time a boat would come past us, I would watch the frustration come over everybody else on the boat, being like, what are we doing? So I have to imagine it's a much lighter boat, and you need as perfect conditions as possible. And when something like that happens, it is so frustrating. We're not going to send it down to the shoreline with our shoreline reporter, Andrew Roberts. Andrew.
Thank you so much, guys. And with this petite final underway, the women's 1v final coming up. This will decide the NCAA bid and the Liberty League title. Ithaca, as we've been talking about, has won the last 7, but William Smith this year has not lost to a Liberty League opponent. They have all the momentum coming into this. Had a very strong start in the Heat 1 race this morning. And if you look at it, Ithaca, as you guys mentioned, only 2 1v starters coming back from last year. Kai Link, Sam Gallagher, those are the only 2. William Smith comes with the experience, and they are ready to break up this Ithaca streak and claim their first Liberty League title since 2014. But the Bombers are not going to make it easy. It should be a close one. Guys, back to you.
There's a little where that word you're looking at, 1v8, it's petite. It's a French word. It's small, and it refers to
I can't stand French words, man.
It refers to the small final, and now in a lot of regattas they call it the B final or the second final.
I like the small final a little more. Petite final.
It's 7th place, but yeah, petite goes back, and back in the day they used French language for rowing races. It has to do with their origin. All races used to start with the command "Êtes-vous prêt, partez," which literally is "Are you ready? Go." And now they don't use French. But when I was rowing, they were using French even in American collegiate races. So that's the petite final, also
French
called the B final or the second final.
Everywhere, man.
They're racing for 7th place.
Yes.
I liked what we called it. We called it a friendly.
Just a little friendly.
That's right. Fisher and Union having a friendly here to end their season, and Union's rowing very well and getting their chance to.
Yeah. But yeah, looking ahead to that grand final, William Smith looking to win their first since 2014, and all signs are pointing to that. But then again, anything can happen in sports. That's the best part about sports. While for Ithaca and even Rochester and Skidmore, you want to play spoiler.
Yeah, they're chasing.
Any way you can, you want to play spoiler.
And look for a really tight race between those three boats.
Absolutely.
If they don't keep up with William Smith, you're still going to see a great race for the. I think there's medals, awards for second place, the medals, and there'll be a battle for that.
Yeah.
Those silver medals.
And kind of taking the time as this race has really fully gotten out of hand. Just want to give a thank you to the entire crew we have here. So Jack DeNick, Cam Strong, Peyton Fish, Jack Harkins, Lauren Fonseca, obviously Dan right here, Andrew Roberts, our sideline reporter, Sarah O'Malley, Gabe Harris, Elijah Gammon, Nick Polisi, Shira Sawyer, Nash Carlisto, Henry Martin, Common Stoles, Sean Fisher, and Jack Bradway, who has apparently become my personal assistant throughout this. But just the entire crew, what they've been able to do to put this together, they're all unbelievably talented. And it's been a pleasure to work with them over this entire season, as it's looking like as another speedboat seems to be passing through the course, but going much slower than the original guy. Jack's looking back at me now as why I called him my personal assistant. You told me that you were my personal assistant, so I'm going to call you that now, Jack, and you're going to deal with this. Union's going to cross the finish line at around 7:45, and really, what did you see there, and how do you have to imagine the Union boat is feeling?
Well, they're frustrated. There's probably, okay, that's good. We won this friendly, but we're frustrated. Wish we had another real shot at those other boats that we've been competing with. It's talking about the waves, and I just noticed, and I saw the reflection, and I looked out our door. Those little waves we saw earlier, it's flat again. The water is really, really good for rowing. It's held up all morning. The wind is slowing the times down a bit, but the water, no one's going to complain about this water.
Oh, no.
First 500 meters of that friendly, we thought it was getting a little bumpy and choppy. Last comment about boat wakes. So skill can overcome wind chop, So guys, rowers who have developed their skill, have the experience, they do things slightly different with their blades. So if there's a little chop in the water, they can overcome that with some skill. Boat wakes can't do a darn thing. The boat wake gets under you, rolls the hull on you. You're sitting there, the boat you're in is just going to roll back and forth based on the wakes. And those are just miserable to row through. No amount of skill is going to help you keep the boat from rolling back and forth as it gets hit by a wake.
Here's St. John Fisher
and
making it through, completing their season. And now it's the moment we've all been waiting for since the very first race. Coming up, the grand final. And to tell you, the lanes, we got in lane 0, RIT. All right. Lane 1, Ithaca College. Lane 2, the favorites, the William Smith Herons. Lane 3, the University of Rochester. Lane 4, Skidmore College. And Lane 5, St. Lawrence and the Saints. And this decides who gets the auto bid, who's the Liberty League champion. Are we going to see a new champion? Are we going to see our 8th consecutive championship? For a lot of these teams, this would be their very first championship. For William Smith, you have to go back to the 2015-16 season to when they last won. For RIT, 2016-17. For St. Lawrence, 2010. And then for Skidmore
never won.
They've never won.
Yep.
Rochester's never won, and RIT's never won. And
I'll have to correct you there, Travis.
Sorry.
RIT won in 2017.
St. Lawrence.
Okay, and St. Lawrence won in 2000, 3 years in a row, 2008, 9, and 10.
Yeah,
8,
dude,
9,
I'm
and
floundering
10.
out here. Think of U of R.
And in 2016, U of R won the race, but they didn't get the bid to the NCAA because at that time they weren't. Someone have to correct me if I'm wrong, but they weren't a varsity, hadn't been declared a varsity sport yet.
Interesting.
They were, and William Smith got the bid. Someone could correct me possibly, but anyways, so U of R has won the race. The St. Lawrence has won it 3 times. RIT's won it once. William Smith's won it 8 times.
Yeah.
So I think every boat except Skidmore in this final has won the Liberty League.
Skidmore might shock everybody here. You
Yeah,
can't write anybody off.
That's right.
This is anybody's race. And as we get to the final thing, as they're lining up right now, you can see those yellow hats and William Smith right next to each other. And as I've mentioned before in previous broadcasts, I really love the yellow in the Ithaca color scheme, and I don't think Ithaca College uses it enough.
Yeah, they don't use yellow, but Ithaca started wearing those hats when they won the NCAA final in 2004.
The first
and
of back-to-back.
Yeah, the first of back-to-backs, and the coach and the players, the oarswomen, they had those yellow hats and said, let's keep this going. Here we are, 22 years later. They're still distinguished from far with those yellow hats. And since most of us spectators are watching from such a long way away, we appreciate those yellow hats. We can see them. There's the yellow hats.
Yellow hats. Those are the Bombers.
Those are the Bombers. Yep.
Yeah. So RIT, Ithaca, William Smith, U of R, Skidmore, and St. Lawrence from lane 0 to 5, and it's all signs pointing towards the Herons' first championship since 2016. But I want to go back to actually the 2016 season really quickly. You mentioned again, Rochester actually won that race, but they weren't varsity. And we talked earlier today about RPI and Vassar before the broadcast, how they both have club teams, yet they are not allowed to, or not, I guess not invited, not allowed.
Yeah, not invited.
To participate in these championships. So you'd want to see them, you'd love to see them.
Yep, they got to declare as varsity sports. I'd put a word out there that Vassar should be admitted in because they're looking to be in the league, but they budget issues keep them from declaring a varsity sport. They just they'd have to agree to Liberty League rules, and they could do that. But anyways,
and
not for me to say.
We're about to get underway, and now back here in our boathouse, we have also has entered another Ithaca College women's rower, Melanie Heim, the ICTV sports director currently. So,
all right, there she is.
And unbelievably talented. We have two very talented people on the rowing team and working with us, Melanie and Cam. So they're about to get underway, lined up.
So unlike the other William Smith boats, you notice the William Smith hull has white decks. The other boats had green decks.
Green.
So just letting you know, when we watch these drone shots, just because it's white decks doesn't mean it's not.
And William Smith is going to be that third lane. Ithaca in that blue boat, if I am not mistaken. No, I
dug in.
No,
Ithaca dug their blades in.
No, yeah. It's going to be Rochester, RIT, again on that far left. Ithaca in that second lane, in lane 1. William Smith, again, that white and green. The blue is going to be Rochester, Skidmore, and then St. Lawrence, the red and brown, red and tan.
Skidmore and William Smith will have the green jerseys, but they got white decks on their boats. So from the drone shots, a lot of those boats look alike, except for the blue U of R boat. And you see a little red with St. Lawrence, too. They got some red highlights.
Not that red.
They're digging in. Their blades are locked in.
They are getting ready. Somebody wants to be the upset. Somebody wants to knock the Herons off their throne that they might be thinking is rightfully theirs. But you can't claim it until you cross that finish line.
See if someone gets a start. Someone can jump at the start. Not that the starts, again, decide the race, but someone looking for an upset might try to pull off a fast start and get something.
You get a bit of a lead. Maybe make William Smith have to work a little harder.
It fuels you. We saw that RIT Ford got that lead, and that gave him fuel to hold off.
This is such an exciting potential.
The start, the delay in the start here. This is nerves for everybody. Every athlete. You and I are watching. You start to get nervous, even though There they go.
Yeah, off to the races. William Smith pulling ahead off the start.
Yep.
Ithaca and Rochester.
Nobody had the start to keep up with them.
Again, Ithaca in that second lane. William Smith in that third lane. Rochester in that fourth lane.
Skidmore's ahead of. Skidmore, I think, is in second. Skidmore had the second best start. We know that Ithaca and U of R had a close race early. We don't really know how Skidmore is going to match up. Skidmore had the trail, but Skidmore is putting more out on this one early in the race than they did in their heat. They're going after, if they're not going to keep up with William Smith, they're going after second, and they've latched into second. And they're keeping their high rating for a certain distance. The other teams have lengthened out. Skidmore's laying it on there a little bit longer.
Yeah, the Herons want this.
Now they're laying it out. Now they're lengthening out. Skidmore's lengthening now, but they're solidly in second.
Yeah, the Herons are just. This is all them all day.
Yeah,
a minute in.
Yep, I'll go with that. But Skidmore is keeping
Skidmore
up with
is
them a
keeping
little
up.
better than they did in the heat. They're trying to pour it out there to shake things up, and it worked. Look at that. Look at that second. They got almost a length lead of U of R and Ithaca. You can tell I'm looking at that battle for second because in my mind I'm thinking who can catch William Smith, and they're the best boat out there. But the battle for second is going to be something, and Skidmore's taking it to them. So
yeah, Skidmore
gonna be a
making
good
them
race.
work harder, making them earn this one. They're not going to say, hey, you don't get 2 easy races in a row.
Yeah, that's right.
You have to earn this one. And William Smith pulling ahead, trying to get bow to stern. As you're looking at the third place is going to be Ithaca and Rochester, and then in that far lane 0, RIT also keeping up pretty well.
At States 2 weeks ago, both Rochester and Skidmore nipped Ithaca and was behind Rochester in that petite final, and Skidmore is just taking it to them. William Smith's getting open water. They're doing what they're supposed to do. I don't think we're going to see an upset today.
No.
Although it's still, you got still almost 5 minutes of racing to go. But that's a bold statement, I know, early. But when you have open water and you're the favorite, that is just almost a mountain that's unclimbable. But let's look at William Smith. Maybe something will go wrong for them. We hope nothing goes wrong for them. And Skidmore, what a race they're putting on today. They're just U of R and Ithaca were just caught, and we said U of R and Ithaca really battled in that early race.
Yeah.
How much of an edge? I mean, they might be running on fumes already. They might just have their tank is a little bit less full at the start of the race than those other boats. They didn't have the challenge. But that's, that was, we were talking about it. That is, if that's an error, if that runs them down, if they can't make any moves towards coming back, then you could assume there's a little bit of that involved. They used up too much fuel in that heat. Skidmore, open water up in second.
Yeah.
But not surprising they're behind William Smith. Great job by them to be in second. William Smith.
Oh, that's all them.
Making a statement.
They've made their statement. They've staked their claim. And they are looking to break that 7-year streak and win their first championship since, again, that 2015-16 season. And Rochester, as last we saw, we're in third.
William Smith winning this, if assuming that they hang on to win, would get an invitation to the NCAA championship. And, they're going to try to make some noise. Now, next week there will be a preview of the NCAA championship because the New England schools will all go, that will be the thing. But all right, great move here by William Smith. And I'm looking at the puddles, and remember we saw the Union boat clearing puddles, and William Smith is very aggressive, and they're still clearing puddles. If their cadence gets really high, it's hard to clear puddles because you're much quicker between strokes. You're going to get back to your puddles, but they're still just clearing puddles, and they're hanging on. But Skidmore much closer to William Smith than they were in the heat this morning, and rowing a statement piece here.
Yeah, absolutely. This is all green.
Ithaca. So
all green all day.
U of R and Ithaca really used themselves up, duking it out with each other. Yep.
Yeah, and the winner of this will again get the automatic bid to Gainesville, Georgia, in the NCAA championships at the end of May. Same time as the IRAs in Golden Lake, California.
Oh, that's where the NCAA is at Gainesville?
In Gainesville.
That's the course I was telling you about, Lake Lanier. That's my favorite course.
You know, as someone, I went to college in Atlanta temporarily. I was told do not go to Lake Lanier, but you're telling me it's nice. So,
the sea monsters will get you.
The sea monster might get it, but even the boat, you're fine. You're fine in the boat. Just don't go swimming. But they like to throw the coxswains in the water at the end of this. So
this is a good picture. I'd like to see what's going on in the battle for third and fourth, and see those other crews. Maybe we get a message out there. But we're looking at the William Smith crew from the side now. This is back to the drone shot, and we got William Smith in first and Skidmore in second, and Rochester and Ithaca not in the picture. Skidmore seeded fourth, making a statement about that seed. To get into second. There's the William Smith boat.
Yeah,
and as expected, you can see them. They're rowing together. They're putting it in together. But they got acceleration through the drive. They got speed through the drive. And they got plenty of horsepower, they got fuel, and now they're in the range of the finish line fans.
And you can see the rest of them. And
U of R
is firmly third.
Yeah.
Ithaca in fourth, RIT in fifth, and St. Lawrence nowhere to be seen.
Yep. It's so we see this race. It's the changing of the guard. Ithaca's just too many losses last year. They got to build up again for next year.
Yeah.
Only two
seniors though, so that's going to be good for them to keep it. As William Smith is now passing this boathouse, it is all Herons all day. Almost a complete sweep of all women's events today. RIT, of course, snagging that one.
But this RIT. Thanks
this
for
is
saving
just
for the rest. But William Smith,
just a dominant performance, and that just shows you how well coached, how well they've recruited over the last couple of years to build up such a talented team. And you can actually see now as they pass us, you can't really see them as much, how close the rest of them actually all are to each other. But this is all Herons, and the Herons will secure their first Liberty League championship since 2015 in under 7 minutes. An unbelievably talented race, an unbelievably talented season, and congratulations to William Smith to bring home that one and knock off the Bombers and prevent them from winning 8 consecutive Liberty League titles. And the Bombers will actually finish in fourth, behind Rochester in third and Skidmore in second, RIT in fifth. And a near perfect run, almost perfect run, might be perfect for the Herons all season, in control.
The idea of sweeping isn't that uncommon, and it makes sense. If you have the recruiting and the training and the preparation and the coaching to win a varsity championship, that filters through the whole program. You see that so often, that the same team winning the first boat is also winning the second and third. It's relatively common, not all the time obviously, but relatively common. And clearly on the women's side, the William Smith is the most talented group and deepest group. Like we saw on the men's side, Ithaca's holding up. They swept the men's races today. So that type of thing happens. But it's buy-in in the program, as Jake said. The training is across the board. The coaching's outstanding. Hats off to Paul Bugenhagen, the William Smith coach, for this victory today.
Yes. Ithaca to the IR race for the men's side, and William Smith punching their ticket, as I'm pretty sure they get a big ticket as well later today, punching their ticket to Gainesville, Georgia, Lake Lanier, and the NCAA championships, joining a lot of NESCAC schools, and might be the only or one of 2 schools coming from New York State in Division IIIs. Hamilton might also sneak in. But just a wonderful race by the Herons, wonderful race by the Thoroughbred as well to keep up with them. Much better run, you would say, much better. They did a great job keeping up, staying as close as possible to the Herons, and that's a great race from all schools as our final race concludes here from Fish Creek and Saratoga Lake in Saratoga Springs, New York.
I would say that a shout out to Manny Valentin, the Skidmore coach. I can tell you by my conversations with him earlier that his second place finish, he's very proud and pleased with that result, because that was something that it's been a long time working on. And so that was a great race for them to show it. And they did it right off the start. They were ready for it. And it was, U of R and Rochester have not been able to keep up with William Smith, but it'd been interesting if they didn't pour out their guts for that.
The Herons
first race.
are waving to our drone, and they gotta be happy. It's gonna be a nice trip back to Geneva and then celebration for them.
You betcha.
To finally knock the Bombers off their throne.
Absolutely.
As they're going to come back to shore for the trophy presentation later today. And I mean, that is years of hard work and development to build a team that's been able to prove that they belong, that they are great. And that school all the way around has just been fantastic at recruiting athletes and always being at the top of any sport. And it shows in rowing, it shows in women's soccer, it shows in
women's lacrosse.
Women's lacrosse, they are so talented, and it is going to be interesting to see what they have in store for Gainesville, Georgia in the NCAA championships. And it'll be interesting to see, can any of the other Liberty League schools, either Rochester, Ithaca, or Skidmore, sneak in?
That's right. Sneak in.
Can they snag one of those final at-large bids?
That's not long far away. That race is next week.
12, 13, and 14. That's next week.
Yep.
And they're ranked 12, 13, and 14. So one of them can't sneak in.
Be a long shot.
How many schools make it to the NCAAs?
I believe it's 8, but I could be mistaken. And there'll be definitely one from the West Coast.
One from the West Coast.
Definitely one from the Mid-Atlantic region. And, of course, there's the Liberty League. And then you have automatic selections from NESCAC, New England Small College, and NUMAC, which Wellesley has already secured last week. So there are I've lost count already. NUMAC, NESCAC, Liberty League, West Coast, Mid-Atlantic. 5 automatic,
and
3 at large.
At large, and right now, if you're going to go in those top 8, William Smith was 8. That would have been them if they didn't win this one.
But they
did.
The top 3 at large are going to come from NESCAC.
Most likely.
New England Small College.
Barring some out of their mind performance next week.
That's right. The next week, these teams will get a shot at them.
And
Skidmore and Ithaca will get a crack at them. So.
And for some more William Smith action that they can maybe also continue on their dominant run in sports. Women's golf championships today. They're going to be over there with Wellesley, you mentioned earlier, Ithaca, NYU, St. Lawrence, Vassar, and Union. Women's tennis in Ithaca at Cornell. They're the 6th seed taking on St. Lawrence. Again, Union and Skidmore also there. Also, technically not William Smith, same colleges, but also different colleges. Hobart in the baseball crossover to be taking on Bard in Geneva today. And then, again, William Smith, the number 1 seed and number 6 in women's lacrosse in the country, hosting RPI in Geneva. So a very, very, very busy weekend for Hobart and William Smith colleges, athletics, and a very, very busy weekend for the Liberty League, as you can see right there. Again, for some more Bombers action, Ithaca at 4 p.m. hosting Union in Ithaca as the final times are coming in. And you can see that 10-second difference, 6:52, 7:02, 7:09, 7:13, 7:18, and 7:38. And I mean, what do you see from these times?
Well, one-sided. That 10 seconds is, that 10 seconds is an advantage. It's I thought the times were 20 seconds slower due to the wind. If that's the case, William Smith went really fast, but we also did notice in the last half hour it flattened out again. You can see that's flat water, so it may not have been and I said before, a 640 is what you probably need to do in neutral conditions to have a chance to win the NCAA championship. So William Smith still has to see some improvement, but they did 6:52 on a day where there was a little bit of a breeze slowing things down. So they'll be plenty competitive. And I just think Rochester and Ithaca could have given Skidmore much more of a battle. But their battle was this morning.
Their battle was this morning.
They're 0.8 of a second apart, and they rode 7:09 or something then, and that used them up.
Yeah. And as we await potentially other results, Ithaca made it back to the docks. They'll be.
Did we see the men's results?
There they are, right there, right on cue.
Yeah, that's the second varsity.
That's the second varsity, Ithaca 6:41.
So there's 6:41, and the William Smith women 6:52. Now that's 11 seconds apart.
That's on par with Skidmore.
And so either William Smith is really fast, or else the conditions did get better for that women's race. The 50-second rule would not have that William Smith killed it.
They would crush that 50-second rule.
They crushed the 50-second rule.
William Smith just utter.
The men's race was just before the men's 2V.
Yeah,
they
dominance.
were like in the 620 area. So I think conditions, as we look at the water behind the docks, how calm it is now, we don't see any signs of a right to left wind, a headwind. So yeah, William Smith, the conditions improved enough for William Smith to row was 6:52, which is a nice time.
And you can see Ithaca players, coaches, rowers hugging.
Yep, that's the head coach there. That's Beth Green coaching, giving her, the good effort hugs.
Yeah.
Everybody puts effort. Everybody puts effort,
puts in
especially
effort.
in the varsity level. They just
There's the men's Open 4
out.
results now. Ithaca 725, Rochester 734, RIT 758, and then Rochester again.
So men's 4s are comparable to women's 8s, although it is a varsity 8 versus not a first string 4.
Yeah.
But yet still, Skidmore was 25 and 8, 33 seconds faster than that. So, Skidmore, not Skidmore, William Smith. So William Smith was fast, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And the times improved for that last race. The wind let them crack the 7-minute barrier soundly. I'm not sure they broke 7 in their heat this morning, but they did it this afternoon.
I don't remember. Yeah. Who Skidmore?
William Smith.
William Smith? Well, luckily for us, we can check
There's
later. RIT
right.
on the Open 4 is taking that one. And that was a great race by the Tigers to just really just stay ahead of
they'll look back and say, hey, we won a Liberty League title.
Yeah. William Smith did not crack 7,
right.
by the way, for the first heats. They were 7:10.
Okay, there you go. So they 18 seconds faster.
Yes.
Combination of them putting out the effort and better rowing conditions.
And just to show you the difference between Skidmore's difference, they were 20 seconds behind in the first heat.
All right.
And then they were only 10 seconds behind in the second. So that is also
they were ripping. They were ready to go. And we saw it in the start. They got out in the start. They weren't going to get left behind.
And that's just, again, a great racing from both schools. Yep. And Skidmore, you got to be proud of yourself that you're able to give William Smith the run for the money. Say, yeah, you're not going to just get this one for free. You have to earn this. You have to beat us. You have to beat us for all.
Got to break
4
7.
500s.
Yep.
You have to break 7.
You're not going to beat us if you don't break 7.
Yeah. And that is for looking forward for William Smith. You got to you said you need 640 to be NCAA champions, and there's 652 in these conditions. So you wonder on Lake Lanier, it's much nicer conditions that you might get in the Hudson River Valley. You never see wind. You never know. We can't predict the weather.
It's a lovely day at Saratoga Lake today. I've been here for Saratoga they host a ton of races because even with the worst winds, prevailing winds, it doesn't stir the lake up so much to make it unrowable. It's only rare occasions. And I've been here for some of those rare occasions when it's really, really awful. But Saratoga has been a good place.
Yeah, and then for the petite finals for the varsity, you could see Union rode with all their hearts right there. 7:43, and then St. John's Fisher 9:14. And again, for Union, you just got to feel for them.
Yep.
That they didn't get a chance. And again, just a fantastic day of rowing all the way around. But coming up next, we're going to have the trophy presentations for both the Ithaca men's rowing team, who's punched their tickets to the IRA championships, and William Smith, who have punched their ticket to the NCAA championships. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break. And again, an unbelievable, fantastic day we had today with the and men's champions, Ithaca College women's champions, Liberty League women's champions going to the NCAA tournament. Going to be the William Smith Herons. A fantastic day all the way around. And first, we're going to give an unbelievable shout out again to our technical crew here, producers Nick Polisi, Jack DeNick, Cam Strong, Peyton Fish, and Lauren Fonseca, and then our entire crew, which we're going to go through all of them, give you guys another shout out since you guys didn't hear me the first time. Peyton Fish, Sarah O'Malley, Gabe Harris, Elijah Gemin, Nash Carlisto, Henry Martin, Coleman Stoles, Sean Fisher, and Jack Bradway. For our shoreline reporter, Andrew Roberts, and Dan Robinson right here, I'm Travis Conway signing off and sending you guys to the trophy presentation. And again, thank you so much for joining us in this Park Productions Drone Squadron.
Top crews championships.
And absolutely, thank you so much.
Ask the winning crews to come forward and accept your championship medals. We also ask each team's coach to come over and assist in the presentation of medals. We'll start with the Open 4 races and work our way through to the 8 races. For the men's Open 4, finishing in 4th, Rochester B. In 3rd, RIT. In 2nd, Rochester A. And the winner of the men's Open 4 with a time of 7 minutes and 25 seconds, Ithaca College. For the women's Open 4, finishing in 4th, Rochester. In 3rd, Ithaca. In 2nd, William Smith. And the winner of the women's Open 4 with a time of 8 minutes and 26 seconds, RIT. For the women's 3rd, Varsity 8. In 2nd, Ithaca. The winner of the women's 3rd, Varsity 8 with a time of 7 minutes and 29 seconds, William Smith College. And now for the men's second varsity 8. In 5th, Union B. In 4th, RIT. In 3rd, Union A. In 2nd, Skidmore. The winner of the men's second varsity 8 with a time of 6 minutes and 41 seconds, Ithaca College. For the women's second varsity 8, in 7th, Union. In 6th, RIT. In 5th, St. Lawrence. In 4th, Skidmore. In 3rd, Ithaca. In 2nd, Rochester. And the winner of the women's second varsity 8 with a time of 7 minutes and 15 seconds, William Smith College. The next awards are the Varsity 8 Awards, which also determine our Liberty League team champions. First, the men's Varsity 8. In 5th place, RIT. In 4th place, St. Lawrence. In 3rd place, Union. In 2nd place, Skidmore. And the winner of the men's varsity 8 Liberty League team champions and IRA automatic qualifier with a time of 6 minutes and 23 seconds, Ithaca College. And now for the women's varsity 8. In 8th place, St. John Fisher. In 7th place, Union. In 6th place, St. Lawrence. In 5th place, RIT. In 4th place, Ithaca. In 3rd place, Rochester. In 2nd place, Skidmore. And the winner of the women's varsity 8, Liberty League team champions and NCAA automatic qualifier with a time of 6 minutes and 52 seconds, William Smith College. That concludes our awards presentation. If you wish to take photos on the water, docks are available for pictures. Good luck to all our teams and crews on the rest of your season. Thank you and have a great weekend.